Are you a demon? Then you best get out of my way! I have no time for idle chit-chat. I'm a demon slayer and I should be out there hunting demons right now. What's a demon slayer, you ask? Well, how do I put it? A demon slayer is someone who slays demons. Plain and simple. Of course, with any demon slaying, there's a lot of language and content that occurs, so, yeah, it's at your own discretion. There are also major spoilers abound because, let's face it, there are a lot of corpses as a result. I don't know what exactly demons are. I was raised by pigs. What does opinionated mean? I don't know but whatever it is, me and my friends that I travel with, we have our own, and, well, to each their own, that's all I'm gonna say. Now, if you don't mind, get out of my way. I have some demons to kill, and I have a lot of training to do. Also, I'm feeling like eating some bacon right about now, and I don't know why. So tell me, kid, why are you interested in me all of a sudden? Your family was killed by a demon? Where? Point the way. Let me at them rat bastards. I'll show them what Nosuke Ashibira is all about. You hear that guy Panjirō Kamabukuro? Anything you can do, I can do better.
It's a dark night. You're coming home from selling charcoal in the village. It's been snowing a little bit. You're cold, so you decide to cut through the woods. It's too quiet. You don't hear the birds you usually do. You feel like something's watching you, skulking around. You pull your jacket tighter across you. You hope nothing bad happens. And you're so worried about it, you don't realize that you almost run into a man with a box on his back. Oh, it's a member of the Demon Slayer Corps! This should go well! Nothing possibly bad could happen while he's around you, right? Right? Hi, listeners. Welcome to another exciting episode of Dub Talk, where a bunch of nerds talk about the latest and greatest in English anime dubs. And tonight, do we have an episode for you? I hope your chair is comfortable. You will be sitting in it for a very long time. Because tonight, we're going to be talking about the dub for the smash hit shonen anime of 2019 and 2020, Demon Slayer, Japanese subtitle I never remember.
Kimetsu no Yaiba.
Thank you. I understand why they're doing it, but it's like, you're not going to sell me on this any harder than just calling it Demon Slayer. It has everything I want in life. Demons and slaying.
I mean, I guess they wanted to be nice and refer to it by, like, the actual name.
I mean, I assumed it was also like an SEO search engine kind of a deal as well, but yes, that too.
I mean, I suppose they could have, like, tried translating it straight, but I guess, like, Demon Sword of Destruction doesn't sound like something most people would actually read right away, so...
Yeah, that sounds fun but confusing. Like I'm imagining Steve Bloom saying that on TV every week. It just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? Anyways, joining me tonight on this little excursion into the depths of depravity and mayhem, we have Jet.
Spiders everywhere.
It's true. Jamal.
It's a sis in the box. It's sis in the box, man. It's a sis in the box. What is wrong with you, fam?
Thank you, Jamal. And Megan.
Oh, I wish I was a member of the 12 Keys of Key. That is what I truly like to be. Because if I was a member of the 12 Keys of Key, Muzan wouldn't be so mad with me.
Well, I don't know about that.
At least if I was the upper part.
There we go.
I've been sitting on that joke for at least 2 days. I'm proud of myself. Also, B, when you were talking about walking through the woods, I thought you were going to start saying Shia LaBeouf.
I'm not that clever. Thank you for thinking I am, though. So yes, we're here to talk about Demon Slayer, which has that rare feat of becoming the biggest anime in the world right as its manga is concluding.
Yeah.
A rare sight indeed.
Yeah, a feat that I think hasn't been seen since, I want to say, Assassination Classroom.
Probably.
Wow.
Manga author of Demon Slayer, like, all right, I've got buku bucks. I'm out, fams. Oda, catch you on the flip side, buddy.
Oda, a hand just peeks up from my drawing board. Oda waves them away. Have fun. I like your crocodile avatar. Thanks, I like your fish avatar.
Hiromu Arakawa sits up in Hokkaido with her cow.
Exactly. But yes, we're going to be talking about Demon Slayer tonight because it's a big deal and we enjoy it. And content, I don't know. Perhaps you don't know what Demon Slayer is, in which case I'm impressed. You don't hang out in fan circles. That's probably a smart decision. Keep doing that. But if you don't know what it's about, let me give you an overview. It's about our protagonist, Tanjirō. It's the Taisho period in Japan. It's that weird period where modernization and sort of Western culture was starting to filter in, sort of the very end of the 19th century, that kind of thing. And he lives out in sort of rural Japan with his family. He sells charcoal. Everything is going great until he comes home one day to find that his entire family has been murdered by demons, except for one of his sisters, who has merely been turned into a demon. This is bad, but a passing demon slayer basically initially tries to kill his sister, realizes that there seems to be a little more humanity in her than normal, and basically says, like, alright, I'm gonna give her this thing so she won't bite people, because she seems okay, and you should come join our little crew here. Because, if you're part of us, you'll probably have a better shot at figuring out both protecting your sister and figuring out a way to turn her not into a demon. Because who wants that, right? Things escalate from there. A lot. A lot.
That's the understatement of the century.
This is a shonen jump series, you say?
Sometimes... Like, I'm saying, like, you're going along and he has to fight a demon that keeps, little hair ornament trophies from all the people he kills. And like, oh, this is a minor entry. This isn't even notable. We're not even talking about that character. He doesn't matter enough.
That's the episode where I literally had to put a trigger warning on people with sensitive ears, because holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh, do you hate the sound of grinding teeth? You may want to skip that episode.
Yeah.
After it.
If you got tinnitus, misophonia, or if you're hard of hearing, please skip episode 8.
Save yourself. But yes. So, since this is...
Hello?
Oh, I thought someone said something.
I was gonna say, and along the way, we will learn how the collectivity of the internet learned how to shit their pants for a girl in a box. Eat your heart out, girl, from Outlaw Star. Eat your heart out.
Fun times. So, since this episode is definitely going to be really long because we have a lot of characters to go through, let's start ourselves off with our ADR director and our scriptwriter. So, directing this thing, we have Steve Staley, is known for plenty of things, but most recently you might have seen his work directing The Promised Neverland, also on Toonami. And scriptwriting, we have two people doing scriptwriting. The first 10 episodes were done by Kyle McCarley, who's done stuff like Carol and Tuesday, and the back half was done by Lucien Dodge, who's done a number of things, but I know he's done, for one, Bungo Stray Dogs, which I know we have some fans on here of.
Megan looks up from eating her pot pie.
Look, I have seen the bit of Bungo you show me. It looks very entertaining. Also,
Amon, Bungo Stray Dogs is another show that is exactly up your alley of weird shit.
I was looking up casts at one point. It's like, some version of John Steinbeck is in this. I'm curious now.
He has a giant floating whale airship. Also, there's a character who can only... There's a character who is immune to bombs, but only if they're shaped like lemons.
That is so beautiful. I love that. That is such...
You should watch Bungo Stray Dogs.
Concept.
Amon, the show is literally tailor-made for you.
So while I'm staring at the moon, thinking about how I should watch Bungo at some point, who would like to go first, talking about our adaptive crew here?
I guess I'll go.
Go right ahead.
Okay, so Steve Staley seems to be quickly becoming one of the hottest directors for anime dubbing at Bang Zoom. And his work on this show is a pretty good example of why. His work has been pretty consistent so far, and he definitely brings that same level of consistency to this dub. And everyone here sounds pretty well directed, and pretty much every performance in this dub ranges from pretty solid to pretty strong. I didn't have any particular issues with how anyone here sounded. I also appreciate that while he didn't do the casting for this dub, it has a pretty decent mix of fresh faces, folks who have been around for a while but weren't necessarily household names, and a couple of veterans. So I definitely liked what actual casting director Mami Okada brought to the table here on that end. And I'm also glad that Aniplex opted to make this a union dub in particular, so we could get a couple of specific veterans who we'll talk about later, I guess. Script-wise, everything here is definitely about as solid as the voice direction. Kyle McCarley and Lucian Dodds did a good job of adapting the source material, mostly sticking to the sub-translation, but not being afraid to punch up the dialogue every now and then for fight scenes or a couple of jokes. There was one bit during the spider arc that I found pretty amusing when, Inosuke is fighting, the big spider dad, and he says something along the lines of, "I want your eyes over here, all 9 of them," and I was like, okay, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I think that is by far the funniest one-liner in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty solid so far. It's not quite up there with my recent favorite shonen dubs, but it's definitely very strong. And in spite of the many weird and annoying complaints I was seeing circulating around the internet when this dub was first announced, I can safely say that they were very unwarranted and we got a pretty good product.
Yeah. Who wants to go next?
I guess I'll go.
Go ahead.
With the ADL staff, they were pretty much very solid. I haven't watched much of Steve Steadley's work other than a couple episodes of The Promised Neverland, but for what I've seen... Oh, I forgot Kakagurui. But other than that, I haven't really seen much of his work, but he does a pretty solid job with what he's given. And he's a director I really want to see more of as more and more animes being dubbed out of LA. Kyle and Lucian, I'm not really familiar with them in script writing, but they did a pretty good job. I did have a couple of nitpicks. When we get to a certain character, but one of them I thought was a typo until I realized something, but when we get to a certain character later on, I'll explain. But other than that, I think they did a very good job for the most part. Nothing really fell out of place, so I'm good.
Alright. Megan?
I'll stop eating for 5 seconds, because I'm starving. I didn't get to eat before we recorded, because I was asleep. No. I was pulling a Nezuko, and I was just passed out. This dub is really good, but this dub is not, okay, I like this dub a lot. I like it enough to have both of the limited edition sets pre-ordered for this show, which is saying something, because we'll get to that in final thoughts. However, I have the same problem with it that I had with the Promised Neverland dub, which is that it's very good, it's very solid, it's great, but it just doesn't wow me. It's just very much, okay, everyone's kind of doing their thing. There's maybe one really standout performance in this, but we'll get to that because that character is the entire reason I stopped watching the show in the sub. I actively will not watch the show in Japanese anymore. Not to say that the dub is better than the sub. It's no, there's this one specific performance in the subtitle version that drives me up a fucking wall. But I hear the sub purists clutching their pearls, but Japanese voice actors don't do bad performances. It's it's not a bad performance. Their pearls are clutched, they're hunched over like a bunch of Karens crying out in front of a Kroger's. It's something with Steve Staley's dubs, and I think some California dubs in general, is that sometimes they just feel a little too sterile.
Yeah. They
just feel a little too sterile. And you know what? That's fine. It's a solid dub. It's doing its job. It's just, I kind of like it when stuff isn't I don't like things going so far out of left field, but a little bit of vocal variety, because there are some casting choices in here. I was like, yup, that's that character because that's what they would sound like in the Japanese. Okay, yeah, they got this because this is a similar performance to the Japanese, which I guess is fine and good and all, but sometimes it's just I don't want that actor to have to replicate the sub's performance. I want them to perform in their own way and interpret the character through their acting to make it their own performance. And sometimes when it feels a little too close to the sub, it's a little bit distracting, in a sense, because it's just like, okay, you want a vocal match so that you don't piss off these people who are like, well, dubs are bad because they don't sound like the sub, and this actor sucks because of that. And I'll also agree with Jet, like, there's a lot of unfounded, unfair assumptions that were made off a trailer that had maybe, like, 5 seconds of an actor's performance in it. Like, highly unfair, and the whole, like, oh, well, this actor's in way too many things, and that sucks, and English actors use the same 5 fucking people. It's, like, literally, I could pull up, like, Yusuke, I think it's the guy who plays Senku in the sub. I think his name is Yusuke Kobayashi.
Yeah.
I could pull up, like, any of his work from last year where he was doing, like, 5 different characters in summer of 2019 alone. So, shut up.
Yeah.
The sub does the exact same thing. You're just using your preference to justify bad facts. I think the writing on this is really good. I'm not as familiar with Kyle McCarley as a writer. I'm a lot more familiar with Lucian Dodge as a writer, and I genuinely love anything that Lucian Dodge writes. I think the dialogue was pretty good. There's maybe a couple times where it felt a little stilted, but honestly, like, you could do a lot worse than being, like, super literal to the script. But overall, I genuinely do really like this dub. I think it's a lot like Promised Neverland for me last year, where it's like, one performance really sticks out and could get a W from me, but the product as a whole, I don't think is gonna get something from me.
Alright. I really enjoyed this. I think it's a good, solid dub. Pretty much everyone feels, like, well-directed. I'll bring up a few instances where I thought stuff was maybe a little weak here and there, but that was usually kind of minor or felt very actor-specific, or even just, like, kind of time period within the show specific. I thought, like, I agree, I was enjoying this a lot. I think the writing's very strong. I think it is punchy without feeling like it's taking huge liberties with the original text. It feels very solid. I think you could tell that they probably either knew or guessed that this might get itself on TV or some major streaming platform or something, and I think they put in the care of, like, no, we should make sure that, like, this is gonna have eyeballs on it. We should put out a good solid English language track. I enjoyed it a lot. I think this is, if nothing else, like, do you want to watch this show in a way where you don't have to worry about subtitles, so you can look at all that beautiful ufotable footage? Great, this dub will do a wonderful job doing that. You'll enjoy it.
You can also see ufotables, really awkward, sometimes CGI to 2D on there, because there are some awkward as fuck CGI moments. Looking at you, little brother spider. Looking at you, you fucking Eldritch abomination.
Yeah, I mean, there's also just a couple of awkward scenes of Tanjirō walking through the snow that are like, you didn't really need to use CG there, guys.
Okay, do you want to know the one that actually bothered me the most?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's after Zenitsu fights the little brother spider, and he's laying on the shack that's held up by the threads.
Yeah.
Right before Shinobu finds him. So, his body, the breathing animation on him was clearly CG.
What?
And it bothered the shit out of me. Like, it looked like a YouTube poop CG model that was breathing. And then it cut to Shinobu, who was very clearly, like, 2D animated. It literally looked like somebody was in VR chat and dying.
There are days when I just want to be a fly on the wall when certain creative decisions are made. Was it budgetary? Was it time? Who and why? That's all I want to know.
Was it this Pablo Escobar level of cocaine?
Was it guilt about tax fraud? Come on. Be honest.
Fuck! I forgot about that!
I didn't. Sorry,
I am the
We like you. We like your work, but you shouldn't fuck with the Japanese IRS. I can't imagine they're any nicer than the American IRS. Oh. Anyways,
I can't believe they're following after Japanese icon Yoshi and fucking with their taxes.
Oh. Yeah, I really enjoyed this stuff. I thought it was really well solid and really well put together. It was good stuff. So let us now dig into just a truly unfortunate number of characters we're going to talk about all at once. I'm sorry, editor, who might be me, for having to cram this many people on screen. But we're going to talk about a bunch of the Demon Slayer Corps. Because they are important, but about 75% of them basically only show up in the last, 4 or 5 episodes. And they don't talk that much, so we're just going to kind of lump them all together. Let me get up my notes so I can remember who the fuck all these people are.
At least 3 of them are himbos.
Unquestionably.
At least 3 of them are himbos.
Alright. First up, we have Kajiura Yubayashiki. He's in charge of the Demon Slayer Corps. He's this big blind guy who gives soft proclamations, and everybody listens to him, even though he mostly just seems to sit around the palatial home doing who knows what. I'm sure if I'd read farther in the manga, I'd know now, but I haven't. So that's him. We have Giotto Tomioka. He's one of the Demon Slayer Corps.
Gyu has no friends.
He does not have any friends. He is the guy who helps save Nezuko earlier in the show, and he shows up again. He does not seem to get along with anyone in particular. Poor bastard. We have Shinobu Kocho. Are you someone who likes women who will step on you? Well, congratulations, I found your favorite character. No,
do you also like bugs? Do you also have a doctor fetish?
This is also accurate. She's quote fun unquote. We have Kyojuro Rengoku. His hair looks like it's on fire because he's a fire guy. That's what he does.
Exactly.
I've also been told that he likes to ride the train.
Yes, he plays a very important part in the train movie that's coming out later this year. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Keep your eyes peeled for this bad boy when you're watching that. He might make a notable appearance.
Going off the rails on the Mugen train.
Thank you, Jamal.
You're welcome.
We have Mitsuri Kanroji. She has green and pink hair. She's very nervous. She's easily wowed by people.
She also wants to fuck like half the Demon Slayer Corps.
I mean, look at them. They're all very pretty.
I mean, she's got a thirst for pretty much everyone if you think about it.
Oh. Who do we have? We have Igoro Obanai, who's this creepy dude with heterochromia. His eyes are 2 different colors. His powers are snake-based. Because of course they are. Look at him. We have Sanime. Oh boy, Sanime Shinazugawa.
There you go.
He's very loud. He's exceptionally loud. He might be the 2nd loudest character in the show. He has a bit of a hate boner against Nezuko because Nezuko's a demon, and he tries to make an example of her. It doesn't really go the way he's planned, so and indirectly leads to the best shot of Nezuko in the show, where she's just sitting in her little box, angry.
Don't touch my shit, bitch.
Just fuming at him from her box. It's great. We have Gyome Himejima. He cries a lot. He's a real weeper. Just weep, 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 weep. We have Tengen Uzu. Uzui, thank you, Uzui. He has tattoos on his face. I will note here, I would technically classify him as a wife guy. This will not make sense until season 2 unless you read ahead in the manga, so put a pin in that one for later. And we can all have a good hearty chuckle in like a year or 2.
So would you say he's a waifu then?
No, he's a wife guy. There's a difference.
Okay.
We have Michiro Tokito. He's kind of a space case if memory serves. He's just sort of... He's not paying attention. And we have Genyo Shinazugawa. He's another guy who has joined the Demon Slayer Corps around the same time as Tanjirō and Nezuko.
Oh, shit.
He's angry looking. He hasn't shown up much. He will probably be important later. He has an undercut. That's how you know it's him.
He has an undercut. That's how
he does.
True.
Look, I am very bad at names, so a lot of times the only way I'll remember characters is what they look like.
I just realized something about those names too.
What?
We're gonna save that for later.
Okay.
Oh.
That's kind of a spoiler.
Oh, I see. Anyways, we also have Kano Tsuyuri. She is sort of a semi-lackey for Gocho. She's very quiet. She's anime Two-Face, basically.
Why would you say that?
What?
Because it's correct, that's why.
You're correct, but just because you're correct...
No, just because you're right does not mean you're correct. Actually, no, you're still wrong either way.
That's right.
Nonsense.
That's right. You're so very wrong. Actual anime Two-Face is a character in Promised Neverland that has not shown up in the anime and probably won't for a very long time.
There is a baseless one-note similarity between these two characters, and I'm going to make that observation no matter how wrong-headed it is. As is my right as a nerd on the internet.
Damn, I can't... That's flawless logic. Fuck.
Huzzah. Let me just put on my clown shoes. Anyways. And finally, we have Oi Kanzak. Uza, she basically works in this training hall that our protagonists get sent to have to get the shit beat out of them so they can recover and have their limbs grow back to the correct size. She's very stern, but she's a nice lady in the end.
How you doing, Caboose? How you doing, Caboose?
None of the other sections will be this long, thank God.
Yeah.
Oof. Anyways, Jet, would you like to go first again?
Would you like to announce who's
Wait, did you actually say who's playing?
Wait, that's right. There's another half to this.
I'm so sorry.
I was so excited to be done, I forgot that I wasn't finished.
Shut the fuck up! Y'all fuckers on YouTube can read. There's pictures.
Rewind.
Figure it out.
I mean, if it would help, I could list off.
No, I have it here. I can be very quick about it.
You gotta list off the actors first, so.
Exactly. Ubu Yashika is played by Matthew Mercer, who you know for playing Jotaro Kujo and JoJo's, among other things. Gyu is played by Johnny Young Bosch, who you know for playing Leo in Premiere, among other things. Shinobu Kocho is played by Erica Harlacker. You know her for lots of stuff. Recently she played L's and Beastars. Kyojuro is played by Mark Witten, who you might know for playing Tsurumaru Kinagaga. Thank you.
Yeah. Surumaru, just say Surumaru, you're good.
Surumaru in Katsugeki Tokunrambu. Mitsuri Kanroji is played by Kira Buckland. Iguru Obanai is played by Eric Scott Kimmer. Thank you. Sanime Shinazugawa is played by Kaiji Tang. Gyome Himejima is played by Crispin Freeman. Tengen Uzui is played by Ray Chase. Michiro Tokito is played by Griffin Burns. Genya Shunizugawa is played by Zeno Robinson. Kano Tsuyuri is played by Brianna Nickenbacker. And Oi Kanzak is played by Reba Burr.
Oh, you did it!
Yay.
All I know is that when you said that Muchiro versus Griffin Burns, all I could think is Moshi Muchirio Das.
No. Oh no.
I will never stop doing that for any Griffin Burns character because he is Doppio and JoJo's Part 5.
Oh.
If you're watching this on YouTube, hopefully the image for Griffin Burns is him with the fucking frog photoshopped to his face.
It will. Don't you worry.
God bless your heart.
Jet, now would you like to go?
Sure, I will be quick like most of these. Aoi, Reba Burr did a really good job. It's Reba Burr. She's pretty much always good at things. I thought she did a very good job of making her seem very stern towards Tanjirō and the others. I got a few good chuckles out of that, but she didn't leave too much of an impression on me outside of that. But I did like the character, so if she does show up later on, definitely looking forward to seeing more of her. Let's see. Matt Mercer as the blind leader guy. It's Matt Mercer. He's pretty much always good, and I definitely enjoyed him here. It's a lot softer than a lot of the work he usually tends to do, but he's definitely done that sort of thing before. And I thought he did a very good job of just giving this very kind of serene tone to him, where he sounds very polite, but also in a polite but firm kind of way, where you can also kind of tell why everyone has so much respect for him. There's definitely a lot of mystery surrounding this guy that I imagine we won't learn for quite a while, but I'm definitely very intrigued, and Matt's doing a pretty good job with him so far. Going down some of the other Kizuki. Rengoku. He has a flaming head of hair. He is very loud. Mark Whitten is very loud. I will admit I'm only really familiar with Mark Whitten for Fire Emblem specifically.
Fuck the Pope! Fuck that Pope! Oh wait, shit, that's Jeremy. Fuck the Pope's assistant! Fuck the Pope's assistant! He's an actual DILF! You can get the daddy credit!
I mean that's true, but Zenith is a pretty decent guy on, like, actually pretty much every route.
I'm just saying! Have sex with Sethis. What's the worst that could happen?
I mean, considering what he actually is, I don't know how comfortable that would be.
I'm down.
But anyway, I thought Mark did a really good job. It's definitely a lot higher pitched compared to how he played Setup in Fire Emblem, but it sounded pretty good, and I'm definitely down for hearing a bit more stuff, so bring it on. Kira Buckland as Maitsuri. Kira Buckland's played very sweet characters before, so this isn't anything too new for her, but I thought she did a pretty good job of making her sound like very weirdly thirsty, but in a very sweet way. I mean, wish I had a little more to say, but she only had like maybe 5 lines, so yeah. Kind of a similar deal with Eric Scott Kimber as like heterochromatic angry snake guy. He was definitely very snarky, and it was a little like raspier than some of Eric's other roles, which I thought was kind of interesting. And I did kind of appreciate him as like a voice of dissent, where he is definitely like the most skeptical. And I thought Eric did a pretty good job of playing that up. That was kind of interesting, even if I did kind of want to see that character get bumped in the face after a while. Crispin Freeman. It is always nice to hear Crispin Freeman do things because he's rarely TV anime these days, which is very unfortunate. But it's nice to see him here. I wish he had a little more to do than just like cry very loudly, but that was kind of amusing. Hopefully the character gets more to do soon. Ray Chase as Tengen. It's always kind of nice to hear Ray Chase and things. I thought he did a good job of making his character sound fairly amusing for like the 3 or 4 lines he had, where he apparently wants everything to be very dramatic, which is a bit of a weird quirk, but I guess we'll learn more about that eventually. Again, I wish I had more to say about a lot of these characters, but they are kind of literally like maybe 5 or 6 lines and then like nothing else. Griffin Burns as Muchiro. He kind of has the least lines out of everyone in this section.
Probably.
But he did do a very good job of sounding kind of spacey, like I want to be here, like ooh, flying saucer. So I thought that was kind of amusing. Dana Robinson as Genya. He only really has any lines in at episode 4 or 5 after final selection. But Dana Robinson is definitely getting up there, and I'm always glad to hear him do things. And I thought he did a good job of making Genya seem very. I don't want to say like super angry, but definitely like very rough around the edges. And I'm definitely very intrigued to learn more about his character. So I'm definitely glad he's going to be more relevant later on, and I'm curious to see what else he gets to do there. On that note, let's talk about the angriest character in this section, Casey Tag as Samemi here, because that dude definitely has some issues.
Absolutely furious all the time.
So, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna tell from the white hair, like big angry eyes, and like scars across his face, this is clearly a very not nice person.
He's very well adjusted, I can tell.
Yeah, So when he finds out that night ago, he takes it very well. As you do, he cuts himself, rips open her box, and he's like, "Here, you want it? Eat my blood."
Here, take this.
Yeah. And
Oh man, this reboot of My Hero Academia is wild.
Yeah.
Oh no! Is this the Taisho era AU everyone's been talking about? Oh dear.
Yeah, it does remind me of Bakugo. So
it'll be the end credits animation for the next season.
He definitely does have that. He definitely does have a very similarly angry attitude. He definitely does have a lot of respect towards the master, if kind of begrudgingly, but he is also definitely very much not afraid to get his way, which is why it is very satisfying when Tanjirō tries to headbutt him. And it definitely leads into what is probably one of the better jokes for the back half of the dub, where like after Tanjirō gets dragged off, he like immediately runs back and he's like, "No, I have to headbutt him again."
I have work here. There's work to be done, thank you.
Tanjirō is a nice boy, but when he sets his mind on something, he's gonna get it done.
yeah, sets his mind on something, all right. Bam!
Yeah.
Didn't you know that Tanjiro's, that this Pokemon Tanjiro's best attack is headbutt?
Yeah. Okay. Bria Knickerbocker as Kano. Bria Knickerbocker isn't like a super big name for how long she's been around, but I always like hearing her do things, and I thought she did a very good job here. Kano doesn't have a whole lot to say, but not because she's not in the show that much. That's just like literally the character, because as we see with her backstory, she definitely has a lot of reasons to not be very talkative. And while I do have like some issues with how the show handles flashbacks, I did think hers in particular was pretty well done. We got a pretty good sense of like what her character is, why she doesn't like to talk that much, and how she kind of like struggles with making decisions on her own. And I thought that was all handled really well. And I think that Brienne did a pretty good job of like making that all come across in her actual performance. And where she does seem like kind of emotionally stunted, she has a very kind of robotic tone to her, where she's clearly just very used to following orders, doing things very directly. So when she kind of runs into Tanjiro's like, "Oh yeah, you should just do what you want." It's like, "Wait, what?"
Does not compute.
Yeah. So I thought that whole thing was pretty cute, and I'm definitely very curious to see where that goes, and I'm definitely enjoying the performance so far. But I probably have the most to say about Giyu and Shinobu, because they're probably the most relevant characters of this section. And I don't know, let me pull my notes back up. So with Giyu, time is relative. Johnny and Bosch is pretty much eternal. There was like a very small period of time where it seemed like he wasn't getting quite as much work as he used to. But he's definitely made a pretty strong resurgence in the last couple of years, so seeing him in a show as big as this was probably inevitable. If that sounds condescending in any ways, because, I mean, there isn't too much else I can say here. I mean, it's Johnny Young Bosch, people. Has he ever turned in a bad performance? Has he? I mean, there's only so much I can actually critique. But bad jokes aside, I can definitely say that Johnny's Giyu does actually sound a little different than what Takahiro Sakurai was doing in Japanese, because it's Takahiro Sakurai. And Johnny's voice was definitely like a little softer, but it definitely still works. I thought that Johnny did a really good job of making Giyu come off as, very wise and seasoned, which makes his initial reaction to Tanjiro's dumb antics pretty understandable, since he's kind of standing there wondering what the heck this kid is doing. But at the same time, while he is kind of stoic and serious, he's not like totally unreasonable. And when he sees that Nezuko isn't dangerous, he's willing to both vouch for her and give Tanjiro a very brief lesson on how to defend himself, which he didn't really have to do all that, so it shows he's a pretty decent guy. And it definitely makes a lot of his dynamic with with Erika Hollinger's Shinobu pretty funny. And definitely got a couple of good laughs watching his stoic attitude playing off of her, like, very blunt politeness. And I wish I had a little more to say about this one, but like a lot of the sidecasting doesn't have a whole ton to do this season, but Johnny definitely worked pretty well with what he had. But with that, let's move on to the real star of this section, that being Erika Hollinger as Shinobu. I didn't know who was going to end up playing Shinobu, but in hindsight, Erika Hollinger seems like a pretty smart choice, and she does a pretty good job here. Her Shinobu reminds me a lot of how she played Yumiko Jubami from Kakegurui, in that her general tone sounds very sweet and nice, but there's just something a little sinister about it that makes all of it feel very insincere. And that definitely really works for Shinobu. And while it might seem like she's acting very friendly and polite a lot of the time, she's also not afraid to be very blunt when she wants to be. And like when she's just telling Giyu to his face how no one else really likes him. And I thought that whole bit was pretty funny. And she can also be pretty cold, like when one of the spiders is asking her for help, she agrees only under the condition that the spider suffers the same level of pain as every person she's ever killed, which is pretty ruthless, honestly.
A lot. It's a lot.
Yes, it's definitely a lot. Yeah, at the same time, though, that sweet sense of insincerity doesn't make things too surprising when it turns out the whole persona she gives off is just kind of a mask. And even though she talks about befriending demons, she has about as much hatred towards them as the other Slayers do. And she can't really understand how anyone else could think doing such a thing is possible. But she does respect that her sister tried to do it, and so she kind of carries on those beliefs, even if she doesn't actually feel them herself. And when Shinobu actually does open up to Tanjirō a little bit, Erika's overall tone sounds a lot warmer and more sincere. And I really liked that there was like a very noticeable difference with that. And I also like that when we do get like the brief flashback with her younger self and Kano's backstory, Erika Shinobu sounds a lot more emotional and down to earth compared to how she acts now. And it definitely helps to better sell the idea that most of what she's doing currently is just like an act he's putting on. And again, while I'm not like super sure where this character is going to end up going, I definitely like her so far. So far. I don't know what I was doing there. And probably as far as the ladies of this show go, I think it's probably my favorite performance. And I'm done.
Yeah. Jamal, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't watch a lot of LA dubs, so you're gonna find some comparisons here and there. Kanao, I said this before in the Konosuba episode that she kind of has like notes of Jade Saxton to her voice. But I do think out of all the ensemble cast, she's kind of one of the weaker ones. Not necessarily bad performance, it's just that at first I thought it sounded a little robotic, but on my second rewatch, it's because it's kind of whispery, because she gives off a worried tone when she doesn't look it, and because the character doesn't talk as much. As matter of fact, when you get into her flashback and she starts narrating it, didn't seem quite right to me. Not only that, but it didn't really fit character design, because I tried to find for context how old this character was, but the character kind of looks 12 to me, to be honest. But the voice will, I guess the voice will work when she's being more mature than she needs to be. So, Griffin Birds is Tokito. Yeah, he doesn't talk much, doesn't say a lot, but I am starting to pick up on his voice now, thanks to another show he said, but that's another day. Let's see, who's next? I guess we could do Ari Kanzaki. Rimaba, I realized, I haven't listened to a lot of stuff she said. I haven't seen Gun Gear Online, but I do realize that in comparison, she has a voice tone similar to Alex Moore, to which it really kind of shows her attitude towards Tanjirō and the others, and I thought that came off very playful and very charming. Ray Chase is Uzui. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't remember it was Ray Chase, because I saw the character on screen. I was like, "Hey, Keiichi Tank, how you doing?" Or again, you can tell.
Close enough.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. But he did okay for what it was worth. Crispin Freeman. Well, first off, holy shit, I'm talking about Crispin Freeman. Second of all, holy shit, I'm talking about Crispin Freeman. But
is he in your bedroom?
No. But yeah, it's easy to pick out his voice today, crowd, even if he's played a character whose design kind of looks like it came out of Assassination Classroom. But he was very somber at his timbre, and it was very neat for a guy who weeps a lot. I'll get what his deal is yet, but I can't wait to find out. Eric Scott Kimmerer, yeah, I can recognize Eric Scott Kimmerer almost instantly now, but his tone is, it fits the character, especially when he's kind of be a bit slithery. I'm not saying that because he has a snake on his head. Kira Buckland, I normally know is just like this soft-spoken kind of character, like maybe sometimes with attitude or something, but seeing her display this kind of thirst for crew members, I guess, which makes sense because in my head I've been calling this character Watermelon Girl. I mean, come on, Pink and Green, tell me you didn't think of watermelons. Which is funny because before it was even announced, I said to myself, please let this be Kira Buckland, because I could see her doing this kind of easily. And, like, she's been able to do this kind of easily. Very easily, actually. Young Bosch is Giyu. I'm going to be honest, much like Kira Buckland, I kind of saw this coming because it just looked like a Young Bosch character to me. What can I say? He does a very good job of voice giving. And like you say, he's never put off a bad performance as far as I can remember. But Mark Whitten is Rengoku. Yeah, Mark Whitten displays a very gung-ho attitude with this character, to the point I almost thought this character was kind of cockeyed, because every time you see him speak on screen, he's not really looking away particularly. He's just got like those dead-set eyes on you.
Rengoku's a weird-looking motherfucker.
Oh,
yes. Yes.
It's the eyebrows, man. It's the fucking eyebrows. I haven't seen things that bushy since Fully Cooley.
Oh, yes, I remember now.
Oh god.
That was a trip. And Matt Mercer is the master of the mansion. It's amazing for a guy who looked like he had hot water spilled on his face. He did very good with this character. Like, I don't get to talk about Matt Mercer much, but he did pretty good, you know. I didn't even recognize him at first, and I see his name in the credits. I was like, wait, he was in this episode? Wasn't to the later episodes I realized he was the master of the mansion. It makes perfect sense now. But of course, as Jet pointed out, oh wait, hold on, before we get to her, Zena Robinson is Genya. From the final selection episode, he did very good. He did very good for what little he spoke, and you know he kind of went hard on the character because you know he was very temperamental. Much so to the point when you see him in a later episode, which I didn't realize till Tanjirō pointed it out. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's you. But, you know, I can't wait to see what he does next with the character. But, of course, the star of the section is Erika Harlacher and Shinobu Kocho. Which, yeah, it's a good thing you pointed out Kakigurui, because I can see the sarcasm she takes with her tone, you know. She comes off as cheerful, but you know, there's that underlying sense of dread at times. Which is odd because there was also the flashback scene with Kanao, and you could see her being angry with her sister. And it didn't make any sense at first, but I could see where she kind of adopted that nature from. But yeah, man, which she can be nice when she wants to be, but she's also deadly, so don't let the look fool you. It's kind of funny, she's I guess the pharmacist of this anime. Whether you play the character who has eyes about as wide as like if you were a cocaine user, but
now, back in that day would probably be opium.
Yeah, definitely opium. Well, opium or coca leaves, you know.
He has definitely dabbed in opium at least once.
Are we gonna make the alignment chart of like, has done weed once and lied about it, would never touch weed, is the dealer? My favorite one of those lists is somebody who did it for Horse Girl, who would be the Horse Girl in Fire Emblem Three Houses.
I saw that
one.
That is my fucking favorite one. Next to also the video of it's a TikTok, it's like POV, the drunk horse girl at the party decides to defend you. And it's like, by the power of StarClan! And they like stop their foot and go running after a guy. It's like the funniest fucking video. Sorry, Jamal, go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay, I'm pretty much tapped out.
Alright, I guess I'll go. Let's start with the characters who talk the least. Okay, every time you guys keep talking about, Tokito, I think you're saying taquitos. So now I just want to call him Taquito. Moshi taquitos, yes. Someone just got up and left. Someone's like, I can't work under these conditions.
You've driven away the host. I hope you're proud of yourself.
Are you going to get a taquito?
No, I unplugged my headphones by accident and bumped the desk, putting it back in.
Oh,
okay. No, I like Griffin Burns and things. Griffin Burns is a great actor, so I'm really encouraged to see what this character is going to do later on. I thought his little, like, oh look, a cloud, was really adorable, because that character's really adorable. Ray Chase is not the best mom ever, Bruno, in this show. He does a good job being smug and big. I could have seen it being KG Tang if they would have, switched them around. Eric Scott Kimmer. I like Eric Scott Kimmer. I wish Eric Scott Kimmer was in more things I watched. I loved him to death in Your Lie in April, so I'm looking forward to him as, Mr. Sneaky Snack, in this. And I thought Kira Buckland as Mitsuri was really cute. Who haven't I talked about yet? It's always nice to hear Crispin Freeman at things, so I'm enjoying Crispin Freeman crying in your courtyard. He's a lot of fun. Sadly, no Yuri Lowenthal to tell him to get out.
I mean, okay, there's plenty of time. This is the union, though. They might squeeze him in there somewhere.
Listen here, if you could just put Crispin Freeman and Yuri Lowenthal into something again, where they get to yell at each other, I'll be a happy person. Also, if I can just always reference the Noeen bloopers and the Durarara bloopers, it's a good night. Where am I? Shitface Mick attacks Nezuko. I really enjoyed getting to hear, Crazy Keiji. I thought he was great. I was very threatened by him, but not turned on because he's a bad person who would hurt a child. Sorry, I like bad boys sometimes. Not that bad boy. The only thing he deserves to get his head butted by Tanjirō, and his other head kicked by Nezuko. But no, Nezuko's Pokemon move is Mega Kick. No, but I really, really like KG Tang, and I really like Zena Robinson as Genya for what we heard of him. Genya does sound younger than, Sanmei, which is really good, and I do like how Tanjirō just, like, fucking breaks his arm at one point for being an asshole to children.
Yeah.
Man, what an oddly coincidental shared trait they have.
I thought Genya was gonna get kicked out in final selection after that.
Yeah, you just don't go grabbing the teacher, man. What the hell? But no, as somebody who this is the first time I got to talk about Zeno, I was genuinely impressed with him, and I've genuinely been impressed with what I've heard him in and other things this year. Kanao, Brianna Knickerbocker, she was cute. She was quiet. Unfortunately, like, I think she did sound robotic, but I think that's part of that character, and I'm okay seeing where it goes from there. Raven Burr's Aoi Kanzaki. Aoi Kanzaki is the best character in the show. Aoi Kanzaki is actual best girl. Fuck off and fight me. I love her. I love Reiba's performance. Reiba is somebody who's been growing on my radar. And I've liked what I've heard her in and other things, because I think I've gotten the chance to listen to her be in other stuff. And I know that she is somewhere in the Madoka spinoff, which I think we actually have to talk about setting up a day to record that soon, because that's done. Alright, let's talk about Fire Eyebrows, because I don't think I've talked about him yet. Hi, Mark. I gotta get used to you as not Dragon Pope assistant man. I'm sorry, Seth is really attractive. And his vocal performance helps. But I wasn't super sold on him as Rengoku. I'm actually a little worried about him. I think he sounds a little too raw. I think that he's not able to balance having a good performance and being, overtly loud that well yet. And that's not because Mark's a bad actor. I think it's also genuinely not fair to him that his character hasn't actually gotten to do much, and I've been told the train arc can fit into a movie's length of time.
Yeah, they could
But-
make that is compact enough that you can easily make that like a 90-minute, 2-hour movie without too much trouble.
I'm just a little worried that we're not going to be able to see Mark get to adapt into it as you would in the chance to have maybe that arc be like 5 or 6 episodes of a show. Especially because movies have to constrict things for time. And like Jet said, this show has a really, really, really bad way of putting in flashbacks. That is actually like one of my biggest detriments to the show in terms of tonality and pacing. And I actually think that does affect a lot of the performances in the show, too, at points. The show expects me to know why certain actors are acting in a certain way, but it's going to give me that information after I've reached that point, so now it's asking me to... It's not a show that, like, on your first watch through, you can understand a lot of more nuanced things in the performance. So I'm a little bit worried for Mark there, but again, I think he's doing okay, just not as good as I expected it to be. Matthew Mercer, you guys have all seen the scary movie, the scary movie where she's like, Beyonce? You know, the Beyonce meme?
I think so.
You know what it is if I would send it to you. But that's my entire point is when Kaguya talked, both Andrew and I were just like, Mercer? So, hey, Matt, what you do? What's up, buddy? I'm hoping you're, like, being kind of creepy, ominous, blind man. I thought he was pretty good. Again, not enough for the character to be there. I like the kind of general unnervingness that he gives. Also, I like when Tanjirō is leaving the mansion, and he just whispers, say hi to Tamayo for me. And Tanjiro's like, wait, what? Tanjiro's like, wait, what? As he's going. Shinobu. I actually was like, oh, it's Erika Harlecker. What a safe choice. I felt like sometimes that she was a little bit too constricted to the Seiyu's performance. Cause, oh god, who the fuck did her in Japanese?
I think it's Saori Hayami.
Saori Hayami.
Yes, sorry, yeah. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I liked it a lot. I really like when she gets to be more giddy evil than, like, good. I love when she's, like, talking to actual #1 hero of Demon Slayer, Murata, as played by Koi Dao, when he comes out of the thing naked, and it's like, oh, I just gave her wisteria poisoning. Oh yeah, by the way, all your clothes are gone, but your body's fine, okay, bye! Yeah. And he's just like, oh! And he just, like, shuffles away. I thought she was really good there. I thought her flashback stuff was really good, but then again, you would also want your older sister to be, Irias von Ansvern's voice. I was like, oh, it's Iliasville! That's,
Bridget Hoffman?
Yes, I was like, it's Bridget Hoffman! I hear Bridget!
Ah, okay.
It's Bridget, bitch! And then, oh, Gyu, who has no friends. Johnny Young Bosch was pretty good in this. Again, it's hard to find bad Johnny Bosch performances these days. I think there was another performance he did last year that was a lot stronger. Hint, 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 he's the king of the gays, in a certain film. But no, I really liked it. I really like how kind of deadpan he is as Gyu. Because Gyu is just like, okay. He's like Saitama's okay face if he was an entire personality.
Yeah, he's like deadpan and derpy, because I still remember when Shinobu talks about like how he has no friends and so she asks what is he doing with his life. And keep in mind, Gyu's got her in a headlock.
Oh, that's like one of my favorite scenes is like Gyu's got her in a headlock. Her heel has, like, a knife on it, and it's, like, aimed at his face, and the bird's like, come back to the mansion, and they're just holding each other like, well, this is fucking awkward. So, yeah, I like Johnny a lot in this. I thought he was a lot of fun. I also like how Gyu is literally on the line for if Nezuko bites things, but I don't think that he's 100% okay with that. Because it's like, if Nezuko was to ever bite anyone, Tanjirō, Urokodaki, and Gyu will all commit seppuku, and he's like, well, this is my life.
You've consigned yourself to this fate.
I decided to just give them what they want. It's a bit easier this way.
Anyway, go ahead, I'm done.
Where to start? Mercer was really... I liked him as Kaguya. He's commanding and a little unnerving because... I don't know. I call it a hunch. I just don't think things are going to be as simple as they appear as the story goes on. I don't know. Something about the... everything.
Well, he did call the Hashiras his children, so...
I mean, he does have that kind of creepy cult leader vibe about him. That isn't helping, though.
What? No, you think a guy who's running an organization of child soldiers to kill killer demons has no demons in the closet himself?
I mean,
well, he knew about Tomio, so...
I mean, who can say? Certainly not me. I'm behind on the print volumes as it is, much less the manga in general.
Well, to be fair, now you can just go read all of the manga through Viz's app.
I can, but that's a true fact. I liked his performance though. I liked Mark as Rengoku. He was loud. I'm probably more interested in seeing him in the movie because, like, that is kind of like the storyline where Rengoku gets the most chance to shine, and so I'm interested to see what he gets to do there. Similarly, I liked Ray Chase as Uzi, but I'm also interested in what he's going to do and what's probably going to be like the first big storyline of season 2, which probably features his character, and I feel like he's going to get a lot of chance to shine there, especially given how that plays out. Oh, I can't wait for season 2. Oh, the internet's going to lose its mind. It's going to be great.
In a good way or a bad way? Yes.
Yes.
It depends on what you want out of life, you know? What do you want out of your shonen anime? Anyways. What else? Kira was fun as Mitsuri. She was just very... Oh, everybody. Oh. She was fun. I liked Eric Scott as Obanai. He was just good snaky boy. A lot of these are just like I feel like especially in this scene you get kind of a broad overview of what these characters are like, so that they can then get a more depthy look at them in a later storyline. And I thought for a lot of these performances, I thought they did a good job of like, here's what this character is like as just sort of a baseline. And I did think a lot of these actors did that well. Kaiji was really fun as Sanemi. He's just so mean. What a jerk. Sheesh. I'm glad he got hit in the head. He deserved that. Serves you right. Jerk. Griffin was really funny as Guillaume, just weeping profusely. Griffin was really fun as Michiro, just being a big ol' space cadet. Zeno Ronson could do too much as Genya, as we've mentioned, but I did like his presence. And I do like that the people making this clearly aware that this character is going to be big news later on. I do think they've at least kind of like, here, this is our casting choice now, so you can remember that for later when you're gonna thank us for this. Yeah. What else? I like Brianna as Kanao. I thought she just did a good job playing this very like sort of quiet character who I feel like this is kind of the role that's often challenging as a voice actor because a lot of what the character is going to do is going to be physical, which you don't have control over. You can just do the vocal part, and I thought she matched that really well. Reba was fun as Aoi, just ordering people around. I also liked her, like, 3, like, sidekicks at the mansion. The Tanjirō cheer squad.
Yes!
Who were just like, oh, they didn't blow up a gourd this big, they blew up a gourd this big! And they're just very sunny and excited about everything. I thought they were a hoot. But I agree. I think the standouts are definitely Johnny as Giyu and Erika as Shinobu. I think Johnny just does a good job of playing this character who's in another life would have been the protagonist of his own series, but he's not anymore, which I think is appropriate because I'm sure if this show came out in like 2006, there's probably like at least a 50-50 chance they would have cast Johnny as Tanjirō. And I thought he did a good at that, and I also really liked Erika Shinobu. I thought she just did a good job of being very... It's just that thing of like, are you evil? You seem evil, but I can't decide if you are evil. You will probably hurt me. You're unnerving. And she was very good at that, and I enjoyed that a lot. Yeah, good solid set of characters. And now that section has passed through this podcast, much like a rat through a snake. Let's go on to a much shorter section. You know what the show has? Spider monsters. Big old family of spider monsters. Incredibly dysfunctional. It's very upsetting.
Very upsetting, but also very well designed.
Very well designed. It's very creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
like, real talk, like, I think they are some of my favorite designs in anime last year. Like, I fucking love the Spider Family designs.
Oh, they look absolutely fantastic. It's great that there's a unification between them, but they all look distinct. It's wonderful. And we're going to talk about them. First up, we have Rui. He appears to be one of the sons. He's actually the person in charge. You can tell this because he's the only one who gets an actual name. Everyone else just gets generic titles. He's not a nice boy. He's not good people. And you can tell this because he's basically coerced a bunch of other people into being his fake spider family and mutating them to all sorts of horrifying monstrosities, such as the father, who's a big spider face dude. The mother, who's a little more normal looking but very sad. The older brother, who's sort of he looks a little like those people in Ocarina of Time who've been cursed to turn into spiders, and so they're kind of half spider people.
He's also very unnerving CGI.
Oh yeah, you bet. He the only reason he's not the most unnerving is the most unnerving of the spider people is that little like spider baby that Zenitsu runs into.
I can actually never take that moment seriously because of Kaiser Neko.
Has he spoiled it for you?
No, kind of, but in the best way possible. So if you don't follow Scott, I can't say his last name, Fredericks, Kaiser Neko on Twitter, there is an amazing video he made of that baby spider demon going up to Zenitsu going, "Hey man, want some weed?" And Zenitsu just screams. So whenever I see that scene, I just hear that spider thing going, "Hey man, want some weed?"
And we also have the older sister spider, who initially seems like she's bad news, but much like many of the demons in this, she's just some sad, poor, lost soul that you feel bad for in the end. And playing these characters, Rui is played by Billy Kimetsu, you know for a bunch of things, including playing Josuke in Diamond is Unbreakable. The father is played by Kellen Goff. Not with a filter, mind you, that's his real voice. Because I guess he went down to the crossroads and made a deal with the voice acting devil or something.
Can I say something so that nobody else spoils this moment for me?
Certainly.
The father spider demon sounds like Stitch. It sounds like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, and you can't convince me otherwise.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I thought he was going to ask them to stop touching his Ohana. I mean that as a compliment.
Kellen, you know for playing such roles as the boss in Golden Wind. The mother is played by Allegra Clark, you know for a lot of things such as Jinyu and FLCL Progressive. The older brother is played by Derek Stephen Prince, who you know for playing various Digimon characters, and Taito Magatsu in Blade of the Immortal. And the older sister is played by Erika Lindbeck, who you know for a lot of things, including Sayaka Igarashi in Kakegurui. Jet, do you want to start us off again?
Sure. I'm probably going to go in reverse order on this, actually. So I will start with Erika Lindbeck as the older sister. I thought she did a very good job there. I feel like I haven't heard Erika Lindbeck in any like major anime roles in a little bit, so it's nice to see her in something again. I thought she did a pretty good job here. She definitely made the sister come off as very much being a victim, which was definitely a twist I didn't see coming initially. I wasn't totally sure what the whole Spider Family deal was going to be going in, and when I saw it was going for, I was like, oh, okay, this is very unfortunate. And I definitely felt very sorry for her when she was just getting beaten up constantly by Rui, because Rui sucks a lot. And I thought Erika did a pretty good job with that. I also definitely appreciated her delivery when she ends up getting caught by Shinobu, and she dies to downplay her cry. She's like, "Oh, I've only killed like maybe 5 or 6 people, but I was forced to." And it was like, "Nah." He's like, "Nah, fam, I saw you. You killed at least like 80 people."
That's as much as 8 tens, and that's terrible. That's as much as 8 tens, and that's terrible.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought Eric Lindbeck did a good job here. Derek Stephen Prince. It's Derek Stephen Prince doing the Ip-Mod voice. Well, the Ip-Mod voice without going like the full Al Capone bit, but it's still basically Ip-Mod, but that voice is always kind of fun to hear out of him. And I thought he did a pretty good job giving him this very like fun, over the top vibe, but not in like a super cartoonish way. And I thought the way he handled that performance was a lot of fun. I thought his fight with Zenitsu wasn't like super impressive, but it was still a pretty interesting little showdown, and I liked the way that whole thing wrapped up, so that was pretty fun. Allegra Clark as the Spider Mother. Allegra Clark definitely has a lot of rage, and I'm always kind of surprised to see how wide it could get, so I couldn't immediately tell it was Allegra Clark. But once I definitely did piece it together, I definitely got a lot of enjoyment out of it. Like Erica Harlacher, she is very much framed as an abuse victim, and I definitely felt very sorry for her immediately. And which makes it all the nicer when Tanjirō gives her a very nice mercy kill, even if, it would have been nice if he could have saved her somehow, but this isn't that kind of show, unfortunately. And then Kellen Goff as the Spider Dad. Kellen Goff is another person whose rage continues to astound me in every new thing I heard him in. First you hear him as Overhaul on My Hero Season 4. It's like, okay, that's a pretty good villain voice. And then I heard him as like this one character in One Punch Man Season 2 where he gave him like this very big Dr. Claw voice. And then there's this character in Golden Wind, and then there's this, which as Megan said is like basically Stitch from Lilo & Stitch, and it's like, I don't know how he does it, but like this man is definitely under the same. This man is definitely the same wheelhouse as David Mills in terms of this like voice acting wizardry. I don't know how he manages to do all these crazy voices, but it's definitely very impressive. And I definitely got a really good kick out of this one, and it is definitely very much a potential black magic contender for me because, like, again, I really don't know how the heck he managed to pull that off without a filter, but it was really, really impressive. But of course, the definitive star of this section is definitely Billy Kimetsu's Rui, because Rui is quite a character. God, where are my notes again? So I've gotten pretty used to Billy Kimetsu as an actor by this point, but him in this role was actually a little surprising. While he's definitely played softer spoken characters before, I kind of used to him playing very loud jocks like Josuke or Galio. And I definitely haven't heard him tackle any villain roles. Well, maybe Mikhail in Serious Jaeger, but calling Mikhail a villain is kind of a little bit of a stretch. His role in that show is basically just to get kicked around by Ben Niskin all day, and it's kind of, you just end up feeling really bad for him. But anyway, while I definitely wasn't expecting to see Billy get cast as Rui, I really enjoyed it. The voice is a little deeper than what the character design would imply, but there's this unsettling softness to it that just kind of makes that work. And there's something about the way he talks that makes Rui sound very creepy in almost every scene he's in and pretty much every time he opens his mouth. And it definitely doesn't help that Rui's treatment of his quote-unquote family is basically just abuse. And Billy really knows how to play him as an abuser. And he gives off this general tone that makes it clear that he's very used to having his way pretty much all the time. And that crossing game will end very, very badly. And the way he just coerces the other spiders into joining him and then brutalizes them whenever they try to escape is definitely feels very much in line with classic abuser tactics. And I was also very surprised how much the show actually ended up playing that straight. And I was even more surprised by how effectively Billy manages to shift gears between all of Rui's actions and keeping all of it as deeply uncomfortable as possible. And the way he talked about Nezuko specifically after like 10 seconds of meeting her was so twisted in its delivery that I really wanted to see him get punched into the sun. And when he gets his head cut off, that was definitely very satisfying. I mean, of course, we later find out that a lot of Rui's behavior stems from the fact that his parents tried to kill him and he transformed, and while I imagine that was pretty traumatizing, it doesn't really make any of his actions any less cruel. And as Megan was saying, while I didn't mind the whole thing overall, generally speaking, I'm not really a fan of the whole trying to humanize a villain literally seconds before their death thing. I'm not saying that pre-death flashbacks can't work, but they're generally only good if they're done with the purpose of making you understand the villain rather than, trying to make you sympathize with them. And the show can be a little uneven about that sort of thing, and it pulls that kind of trick a lot. So I thought that Billy's delivery during the scene where Rui finally realized the weight of all the sins he committed was pretty spot on. And while again I didn't really feel all that sorry for him, I thought that Billy at least nailed what the scene was trying to go for. And yeah, it was a very strong performance, and I definitely very much down for seeing Billy commit some more villain roles. So good stuff.
Jamal?
Yeah, I'm here. I guess I'll save Rui for last. Starting with Kevin Goff. Yeah, it's incredible how he's able to do that without a filter, but I understand his bass voice now. Thank you, Jackbox. That I can actually buy that was him without a filter. Also, he's the guy I tend to confuse for Chris Bevins a lot in recent Funimation dubs, but that's another story. But Ken was very impressive as the father spider because, before you get to find out who's actually the main antagonist, it's pretty much a whole family of abuse if you think about it, but that's not a subject I'm willing to touch right now. But Ken did very good in this role. Speaking of which, Allegra Clark, I don't listen to a lot of Allegra Clark roles, but when I do, it's kind of amazing how she could match her voice to the character design as needed, because I was wondering myself, why does she sound kind of youthful and worried? And then you find out that she's supposed to be the mother demon, but it turns out the whole spider family was just playing house. And Rui's constant threats, as well as constant abuse from the father demon, it really kind of made her yearn for death. That when it actually came, she started getting. I know. A lot of people say they don't like a humanization after death, but that's pretty much the whole flashback thing kind of messed up, because I really did kind of feel for Allegra's character after that, because she was just in this situation by no circumstance of her own, really. Same with Erica Lindbeck. We'll get to her later. But I think Allegra did a very good job for what the mother demon called for. Derek Stephen Prince, much like Jet, is Derek Stephen Prince. I could pick him out because of Digimon, where he's played multiple roles. To speak of which, it was kind of jarring in the back half, because you hear Derek mainly as the spider demon, the literal spider demon, but you also kind of hear him as one of the Kakushi who escort Tanjirō to the nurse's office.
Best ambulance ever!
Yeah, but it was kind of jarring because it's pretty much the same voice. There's no distinction between the two other than character design. And not only that, I guess he must have been really deplorable, because the spider demon, the actual spider demon himself, doesn't get a flashback. He just is very upset he lost to somebody who can't move his arms. I guess he found that real embarrassing, but then again, if you poison the guy and you get beat and he kicks your ass, yeah, that is kind of embarrassing, but he was very terrifying, very creepy, and it worked. Erica Lindbeck as the older sister, I hear a lot of worry in her tone, and I'm able to pick out her voice because I've watched a lot of more combat-loving gameplay, and it is very sensible for what she needs to do, because the older sister doesn't really do much except follow Rui's orders, and even then, it's you kind of meet your end by a Shinobu who just poisons you outright, which that scene was also terrifying, because I was expecting her head to explode after all of that, but nope. Just straight up poison, just grasping for dear life, and Jesus Christ. But other than that, she did very good, especially in the flashback. But let's get to the start of this section here. Billy commences Rui, because Rui's kind of the one you least expect, but like our mom pointed out, he's the only person with a name, which that should be your first clue. But the way he's trying to seek out family and everything, and yeah, it can feel kind of unnerving, but it's also kind of emotional because you realize, like, you know, much like Erica's character, he was kind of born under different circumstances that were unfair to him, and it's not like he had the choice. But I don't think, because looking back at that flashback, I don't think he killed the parents, because he talks about like how his dad tries to atone for his sins by pretty much taking his own life. I pretty much think the parents took their own life, at least the dad. Dad, you don't see a lot of blood, any blood on Rui's hands, literally. But yeah, for what it was worth, it was unnerving, it was terrifying, and especially with episode 19, it was very emotional. Again, I know a lot of people don't really want to humanize people after death, but I think it kind of helped in some ways. But like Megan said, that's just a bad flashback thing, the way he set it up. Like, they could have set it up before then and made it even more emotional, but, you know, what can you do?
I guess I'll have to talk about that a lot in my section, because I'll have to talk about it with the performances, so.
Hey, you can always work off me, you know. Anyway, I'm good to go. How about you, Megan?
No, that's a good point to work off of, because I think that really goes hand in hand with... I like the Spider Family's acting a lot. Yeah. I think it's actually some of the best in the entire show. All of them sound fantastic. I'll start with Kellen, actually. Kellen is amazing. I am genuinely impressed by every performance I've gotten to listen to him in. Whether it be what little I've heard of Overhaul, I feel bad. I've not actually watched a lot of My Hero Season 4.
Don't worry, I haven't either.
I've watched what's been on Toonami for the last 3 weeks. I've watched the Gentle arc. That's it.
I haven't even gotten to that yet.
It's so good. I'm sorry. Side note: if you think that the school festival arc in My Hero is bad, you're a bad person. I'm sorry. It's such a good arc. Fight me. I love it. I just hate this idea that, like, all shonen battle shows have to be doom, gloom, and action the entire time, and there's no sense of levity or shit that's allowed. Like, everything must be grimdark these days, and especially when we're talking about this show, a show where I've literally said before we started the call, the more body horror that Demon Slayer puts into it, the more I get interested.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in final thoughts.
Yes! Give me creepy shit. Like, Spider Dad and all 9 of his eyes, and the fact that he, like, sheds off, like, a majority of his body and becomes creepier, and I'm just like, yes, bitch! Yes! Or in the flashbacks where, the older sister demon gets Rui's blood, and he literally, like, rips her face off for part of it. I'm just like, it's that, like, image of Lisa getting the coffee poured to her. That's me in that moment. No, I don't condone violence towards people. I just think in a show that has a lot of it in there, like, you've already set this tone, just keep giving me it. No, so, I think Kellen's really impressive. Genuinely, if you guys actually want a really cool video that Kellen has done about his process for, doing all this creepy shit, he actually is the updated voice to the visually upgraded Fiddlesticks in League of Legends, who is an Eldritch Abomination scarecrow thing. And, he has an entire video about how he did this in his closet on his YouTube, and it's fantastic, and I implore any of one of you to check that out, and I hope we link it in the comments below, or in the doodly-doos that come up in the video on YouTube. And for all the Podbean people and stuff, I'll have them link it there. I'll find the video for you guys. No, so he was really great. And like I said, he sounded like a demonic spider stitch, which made it better. Please destroy my childhood, Kellen. I love it. Just yeet my childhood into the abyss like you yeeted Tanjirō. Allegra Clark as the Mother Demon was so heart-wrenchingly beautiful. Like, I think out of all of the demons, you feel the most sympathy for her, because she genuinely doesn't remember the only person who ever loved her, and she is a textbook abuse victim, and just that scene where, the father spider demon is holding her by the face and beating her, and she's like, I'm sorry, what did I do? And Rui just goes, you should have known what you did wrong. And you just feel so bad for her, which is why Tanjirō gives her such a gentle death. And it's just so beautifully animated. And Allegra's softness. That's why I wish that before she had died, they would have at least started the whole we're playing house thing. Because she is also still a child, I think. Like, she's an older teenager that's been forced to be the mom. Because there's a weird part where you see her, younger and with her normal face that changes back. And she's got, like, really kitty pigtails and, like, paint on her face. And that just fucking hurt me to death, where Rui's just, like, beating her up because of it. So, and again, I'm used to, like, older Allegra voice. I'm used to her stuff in, like, Fate Epoch. And, Dorothea from Fire Emblem Three Houses sounds a little bit older than this. Derek Stephen Prince as the older brother spider. Yep, that's Derek Stephen Prince, alright. He was creepy, he was wacky. I find it very funny that he gets the comedy episode in the body horror segments. I was like, damn, this episode's on Zenitsu's backstory and is also very funny, what the fuck. I thought he was pretty great. Erica Lindbeck as the older sister spider. I thought she was really good. I thought she was really convincing as this scared, conniving girl. It's just that I wish her flashback had happened in the middle of those sets of episodes to set up why the family acts the way it does, and before Tanjiro says, you're not a family's bond isn't strengthened on fears and, like, treachery and stuff. Because the scene that you see where you see that Rui has cut up her face for no good reason doesn't make a lot of sense until you learn later on that he hits everybody who stops looking like him so that they don't look like family anymore. And you get that whole sense of she betrays, that she is a bad person. She betrays the one person who trusted her, Rui, to keep herself alive. You kind of see how this family has become a family that survives on dog eat dog to keep in Rui's favor, and I think that Erica gets that really across. I would also like to see, again, I love Erica Lindbeck's things. This was a big departure from, like, the biggest thing I remember her as, which is Mordred from Fate Epoch. And then, Rui. So yeah, Rui's an awful person, and yet I still almost cried to the point where he sees his parents in heaven and all, because in the show, all demons go to heaven, apparently. That's a thing?
Sorry, I think you might have it reversed there.
Oh, I guess they were walking him on the path to hell.
Yeah, that is exactly what the framing of that scene was.
Yeah, I guess all demons go to hell.
That's kind of why, like, the image was on fire towards the end.
It's a very Catholic way of orienting things.
It was more like heaven and hell on earth, you know?
Remember... yeah, what's... shit. Fuck, what, oh my god, who played the dog in All Dogs Go to Heaven?
Burt Reynolds?
Burt Reynolds, the dog, can't save you now, Rui.
R.I.P. Burt.
Rest in peace, man. Now all I'm thinking about is, Burt Reynolds on, Saturday Night Live Jeopardy.
Yeah.
Which isn't actually Burt Reynolds, it's Norm Macdonald.
Yeah, I don't know, whenever I think of All Dogs Go to Heaven, I've only ever really seen the second one. So I love like 1980s crazy Don Bluth movies because they were like really dark and not for children. Like Burt Reynolds just goes just straight up to dog hell in one of those movies, and The Land Before Time is a very unsettling film. This does not, but it does not feature Spider Boy played by Billy Kometz. Oh man. So this is the first time I can actively remember Billy Kometz playing an actual villain and not a person who I think is a villain but gets masqueraded as a hero. Shots fired. He does a really good job of being absolutely creepy. And I think the fact that he has such a more mature voice than his body lets on actually helps sell it. Like, everyone doesn't think Rui's a threat because he has the body of a child. But that thing, he has probably been alive for, like, hundreds of years at that point. So, it is absolutely creepy and unnerving, and I really like how
how brutally childish he is for saying that, even though he's the one taunting Tanjirō about being a child, because the part where he's like, she's my little sister and I'm gonna beat her into submission until she listens to me or let her burn in the sun. And it's so weird and it's so good and I fucking love it. And goddamn, Billy Kimetsu is like one of the best performances in this show, despite not being around for like the longest period of time. So, thumbsy upsies.
Alright. I'm gonna start with Erika. I liked Erika's performance a lot. I think, as we mentioned, like, I liked her connivingness. Like, a lot of these characters are framed as, if not necessarily sympathetic, at least, like, tragic. Like, they're a lot of the demons are framed as being people who are, like, haunted by trauma and abuse, and that's maybe why they're so angry now that they're undead monsters. The older spider sister feels like an example of that. Like, she is not good people, but she herself is just, like, she basically decides, I need to live in fear and be selfish because otherwise I'm going to die. And I thought Erika just did a good job with that. I love hearing David Stephen Prince and things. I've heard him in anime since I basically knew what anime was. It's great to hear him. He's great here. It is very appropriate that he gets to be the one who hassles Zenitsu, who is a punchline. We'll get back to that.
Poor Zenitsu.
Or Zenitsu's life is suffering. But Derek he's just really fun. It was very good, like, just good on-point casting for what those episodes needed. Kellen is great as the father, just good, weird monster voice. Like, I'm impressed. Good stuff. I really liked Allegra because I think, as we agree, like, she has, like, aside from Rui, she and Rui have probably the most emotional weight to them as characters. And I think Allegra just did a good job of capturing that and also playing it because, you know, for a while you think she's the one in charge of everything. And I thought she did a good job of selling that while you think that's what's going on, and then when the twist comes, like, making clear it's like, no, she is not in charge. She maybe has the...
God, I love that fucking scene of Rui walking in on the fucking threads above them all.
Oh god, right?
It's such a... The spider arc is just so visually stunning at points.
It really... You can tell that, like, Gotogo, the author, clearly had a lot of fun drawing this in the manga, and the animators clearly had a lot of fun doing this in the anime. Like, it's just great. But I think Allegra does that twist well of it being clear of, like, not only is she not the one in charge, she maybe has the least amount of power in this entire dynamic. And Billy. Oh, I'm not actually, I'm sure I've heard Billy Kimetsu in something, but not that I can, like, list off the top of my head. But he is just great here. He is just so vicious and he has strong... That Twilight Zone episode with Bill Mummy with the Your Powerful Child, where if you cross him, he will, quote, send you to the cornfield, unquote. Whatever exactly that means. Just somebody who just, like, stopped maturing after a certain point, but now has just astonishing power that they should not have for their maturity level. He's terrifying. He is really great. Yeah, this is a great part of the show. And I think, like, particularly the performances of the villains here, like, really cement that. Like, this is a good arc, and these are good performances for these characters. And with that, let's talk with some people who are nicer. I know that part. That's
in quotations.
I mean, all right. One of them's not that nice. He tends to get pissed off when you ruin his things. The other ones are not going to try and actively murder you. At least that's an improvement from that bar that we nailed to the floor, isn't it?
Even a turtle could jump this bar.
You're not wrong. So we have Sakonji Urokodaki. He's basically a mentor figure. Tanjirō gets sent to him to train in preparation for basically the entrance exam for becoming a demon slayer, where you have to go fight demons, shockingly enough. And it turns out that when your entire experience with fighting is you make charcoal, maybe you need a little, you need to do something to get yourself up to snuff there. He wears a big red, one of these traditional Japanese...
Tengu.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a Tengu mask, thank you. He wears a big red Tengu mask that he never takes off. And he's very mysterious. And while Tanjirō is there, he encounters two children who keep showing up during his training, Sabito and Makomo. They help him out. They have a secret. It's a sad secret.
I don't like their
Their
secret.
secret is not fun. And also in this gathering, we have Hotaru Haganezuka. He is a sword maker. When you become a demon slayer, you got your own sword made for you. And he is the guy who makes Tanjiro's sword. He really likes making swords, and he gets really pissed off if you break your swords. Just unfathomable.
Yeah.
He actually might try and murder you.
He also wears like an octopus mask.
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe so.
Again, Demon Slayer's guys kind of vary, but like demons were like he's theming, and after a few episodes where Tanjiro breaks his sword, and like Tanjiro was like, "Hey," and he's just like casually walking towards him, and he just seemed like going full run with a knife.
I'm gonna mess you up, son. You did wrong.
Son, you gonna fucking die.
The only time better than that is later when his buddy who made Skate Sword shows up, and just as to watch their infurious and immediately just starts destroying his swords because like, no, I want to have edges on them and be all beaten up and shit.
He wants it. No, Inosuke has like serrated swords.
Yep.
It's kind of actually cool as shit.
No, it's great. It's just hilarious watching this guy just fuming there while he's completely demolishing all the hard work he put into those. It's like, look, some people want high quality, just the nicest of the nice, and some people just kind of want junk. It's not.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
It's not our fault that you tried to apply your civilized society standards to the man who was probably raised by pigs. Like, let's be frank here.
I mean, he did say that.
Ergo. Playing these characters. Urokodaki is played by Brooke Chalmers, who you know for playing roles such as Dahlia and Carol and Tuesday. Savito is played by Max Middleman, who you know for playing Atsushi Nakajima and Bungo Stray Dogs. Makomo is played by Ryan Bartley, you know for playing Ram in Ray Zero. And Hotaru Haganazuka is played by Robbie Damon, who you know for a lot of things. But I noticed that apparently he's Tuxedo Mask in Sailor Moon, which I find delightful. Good for you. You play that useless man.
My work here is done, but you didn't do anything.
He lost Robbie's career in anime, so I guess that's good for something.
Oh, there you go. Look, is Tuxedo Mask useful? Not necessarily. Do I find him hilarious? Absolutely.
Tuxedo Mask trying to outrun his daughter's lust for him. Tuxedo Mask, his daughter is a horse girl.
Yeah, I mean, when you say his daughter lust for him, it's like, I mean, to be fair, a lot of people watch that with Tuxedo Mask. It's weird.
Tuxedo Mask, I think my wife is bisexual and attracted to some of her teammates. Tuxedo Mask, is my wife about to get cucked by my own daughter?
It's why on another related tangent, the funniest thing to me watching like Naruto the last for the first time was instead of releasing, I was just watching like Naruto and Tuxedo Max fight over Sailor Moon. Like that is literally just the plot of that movie.
Oh, boy. Jet, would you like to start us off again?
Sure. So Brooke Chalmers as Urokodaki. I was only really familiar with Brooke Chalmers for his role as Dahlia and Carol and Tuesday at that point. While this sounded very similar to that, this is obviously a very different character, but I definitely really liked the performance. Brooke gives Urokodaki does like this very this very stern kind of wit and tone. This is clearly a guy who's like been around the block a long time. Definitely very seasoned, and I kind of like the whole. And I mean, I'm kind of a good sucker for the whole old master vibe thing, and not. Chalmers did a very good job at that. And so I definitely appreciated like how quickly Urokodaki was just kind of willing to go to bat for Tanjiro after a while. And so, especially with the whole like, okay, I'll vouch for you, I'll like convince Seppuku if Nezuko ever screws up thing. I thought that was like very sweet. But at the same time, I appreciate that during like a lot of his early interactions with Tanjiro, he's like, that's how he's like, okay, he's like, look, this is what you gotta do. If you mess up, if you let Nezuko kill people, you gotta commit seppuku. That's just what you gotta do.
As opposed to committing Sudoku.
Yeah. And then Max Middleman and Ryan Bartley as the long-lost apprentices who have a very unfortunate secret. Admittedly, I did not get the chance to rewatch that part of the show, so I don't remember too much of what their performances sounded like. But I definitely do recall that Max Middleman was definitely was definitely going on a bit of the deeper end compared to some of his previous roles, so I thought that was pretty interesting. And Ryan Bartley, I always enjoy hearing Ryan Bartley and things. I think he actually does a really surprisingly good job with child characters. Especially characters like Kabuki and Hunter x Hunter, or like the way she plays Rei in the new Neon Genesis Evangelion. I thought she did a great job there, and I thought she did a pretty good job here, kind of helping to advise Tanjirō as he goes through his training. I was definitely kind of surprised that they actually did have that training arc last a whole year, and like his hair actually grew out at that time. I thought that was like pretty amusing. I don't know. On a side note, I'm always kind of annoyed when they do the kind of thing where they have a long training arc and the main character's hair like grows out really long, and it's like, no, we're gonna cut it back to normal length anyway. I say that specifically because I'm very mad that when they pulled that with Natsu Inferno, he didn't just have long hair for the rest of the show. I was like, let his hair be long, you cowards. And lastly,
Tanjiro would be too powerful.
It's true.
Lastly,
he's trying to go slay demons. Women in town keep throwing themselves at them. He keeps having to explain he's a teenager and this is not appropriate. Please stop.
Well, okay, technically in the Taisho era, it kind of would. They were like engaged 16-year-olds. But still, point stands.
Tanjiro would be embarrassed by the attention then. This is not a man who handles being hit on well, I imagine.
Yeah. And lastly, Robbie David as the Swordmaker guy. As we were saying, this is definitely a very comedic character. I thought Robbie David was pretty funny in this role. Admittedly, it took me a second to realize it was Robbie David because it's definitely a little like more cartoony than he usually sounds. But I definitely got a pretty good kick out of it. I especially got a pretty good laugh after like the second time he's introduced, where like he's chasing after Tanjiro with a knife because Tanjiro messed up one of his swords. And I thought that was something like one of the funniest bits of the entire show, and Robbie definitely had some pretty good delivery there, and it was a pretty fun performance, so I liked all of these.
Jamal.
Start with Brook Chalmers. Obviously somebody I'm not used to yet. I did notice upon first watch when I started listening to him, he kind of had underlying notes of David Walden in a bit, but I guess because he's a more stern character, I don't want to necessarily say old man voice. Let's say maybe middle-aged man or something like that. It's kind of hard to gauge how old he is exactly. At least 47 years according to the one demon he captured for final selection. At least 47. But I guess he had free reign to give the character a voice however he wanted to, because he has on a Tengu mask, so there are no lip flaps. But
actually, the one thing is he actually does kind of have lip flaps, because if you pay attention, you can see his jaw moving.
I was just about to point that out.
Sorry, my bad.
Thank you, Andrew. So anyway, it's an acquired taste, but I think they're okay with what the character was given. Max Millman and Sabito, yeah, we all know Sabito and Makoma have a big secret. But Max Millman did pretty good with what the character had to work with. There wasn't really much to him. So I was kind of surprised by the little twist they had. Same with Ryan Bartley. Ryan Bartley was very cute, very charming. Like, you could tell they were definitely age appropriate for what the hand demons, well, for what both Sakonji and the hand demon said about the final selections. Because, man, was that kind of surprising. I mean, even Sakonji said himself he intended to send Tanjiro to the final selection, but sometimes the impossible is possible. Speaking of which, bullshit, that's Robbie Damon. Bullshit. Because when I heard this man go ham, I thought to myself, is that? Nah, that can't be. I'll tell you who I mean after this. But when I was surprised to find out it was Robbie Damon, I was like, bullshit, I've heard Robbie Damon. And that does not sound like him. Then again, he did Hammer in another role, but that's for another day. But yeah, he was definitely very passionate about his swords and everything. And Robbie really put that on display, no pun intended. So I think it was pretty much okay for what it was worth. That's all I have to say. Megan?
Yeah, so I'm gonna talk about Robbie Damon first, because Robbie Damon has one of the funniest lines in the show, which is when he gives Tanjirō his sword for the first time, and it turns black, and he's like,
but
I wanted it to be red! What is this? And he's like losing his shit, and Tanjirō just goes, how old are you? And he goes, I'm 37! I fucking lost it.
Yeah.
Robbie's performance is so funny. And I can't, like, I know that character has an arc somewhere later on in the manga, apparently. So I really can't wait. I love that Robbie Damon's already established as being this kind of crazy nutcase. And I don't think I've ever gotten to hear Robbie Damon play, like, an older man nutcase character like this guy. Hotaru is hysterical. And also shout out to Kyle Hebert for playing his buddy, who makes, Inosuke swords. And he's just like, what are you doing? Brooke Chalmers as Urokodaki is actually, not one of my favorite performances in the show. I think that it's stilted sometimes. I think it can be a little flat. I never really got into it. When I had mentioned that some of the performances feel really sterile, his is probably, like, one of the worst, I think, offenders of that, where it's not bad, but it's also just very, very, like, you gonna do anything? I just think that it's a little either too subdued, or just, it's something about it just didn't sit right with me. I think it's good, but it's not, again, my favorite. I don't know what it is, if it's because they never give us a character's age, so I don't know if he sounds too old or too young, if, he's speaking this way because of it's a verbal tic that's carrying over from the Japanese that isn't explained very well by the show's standard, or if because they are having a hard time directing and actor-wise working with the fact that there are still lip flaps, there's just no way to see them. Because, again, like Jamal and I mentioned, Urokodaki does have lip flaps, but it's not shown in the way where, like, if you look at Zenitsu or Tanjirō, where you can see their mouth move, even if it's, like, exacerbated or over the top, Urokodaki you can't do that with, because he never takes the mask off. Speaking of taking the mask off, god damn it! So I'm gonna rip this band-aid off and say that the thing about Sabito and Mikomo is that they're dead.
I thought
you were
gonna take that secret to the grave.
Nope, I'm not gonna lie that I watched about the first. That's the second time he's made that joke. He gets to let that fly. We missed it the first time.
I can boo.
I'm the host. I'm the host here. I can do what I want. Jamal, you get your one Andrew pass for the night. So yeah, when I watched the show in the sub, I was absolutely pissed that, like, Sabito is dead, because Sabito is my other favorite character. I love him. I love him so much, and I think Max is perfect as Sabito. There's a lot of people they could have had match up to Japan's favorite overused voice actor, Yuki Kaji. But hi. I think he did a really good job. It did sound like, when you mentioned it sound deeper, it hit me that it sounds like a very angry Atsushi from Bungo. It's a little bit deeper than that, and I loved it. And I loved him whacking the living shit out of Tanjirō for sucking at his job. And he's like, you never... And also, I like the metaphor that the boulder he is the boulder. Because he was Urokodaki's strongest student. And the tragedy of the children, the fox kits, because Urokodaki gives all of the students he sends off a fox mask, is that they all died to this one demon. And just the moment of serenity where, like, his mask gets cut and you see his face for the first time. I just love Sabito's design. I love everything about him, and I'm very, very pissed that he's dead. But Max does a fantastic job for, like, the 2 episodes he's in. And Ryan Bartley does a really good job as Makomo. She's soft-spoken, adorable, kind of, like... It's very clear that she's a little aloof, because even Tanjirō mentions that she kind of stares off and doesn't let the secret out. And I kind of wish that instead of just showing, like, black and white screens, like, just kind of colored screens for Makomo and Sabito's fates, that they would have actually shown them in battle. Because apparently Makomo, when she learned about what happened, went into, like, a feral fucking rage, and I would have loved to hear Ryan Bartley do that. But I love them so much as these two, and God, I would kill for, like, a what if AU if they were around just to hear them more.
Maybe we'll do an OVA of that ridiculous high school AU that they keep putting after the credits.
Please.
Where was I? Let's see. Robbie's really funny. I just like him as this really... I like how this show uses masks, because it's good at using them for dramatic effect, but also just like, this guy makes swords. I bet you think he's a serious guy. You would be wrong. He's kind of ludicrous. Joke's on you. You thought you were watching a serious samurai show. Nuh-uh. This one's goofy. And just watching him be mad about Tanjirō either messing up on purpose, messing up or doing things that are completely out of his control is just delightful. I find him very entertaining. I liked Brook as Urokodaki. I thought he did a good job with kind of the resigned somberness that's part of the character. He felt there's very good kind of like sort of withdrawn mentor guy where like he means well and he's gonna do good by you, but he's got a lot of baggage. It's mostly bad. I don't know if he shows up too much more going forward. I'm not sure. But yeah, I also really liked Max and Ryan as Sabito and Makomo. They're just nicely played characters. Like they show up and they know this information and there's something a little strange about them even before you know the twist. And as far as kind of like potentially short-lived characters where I don't know if they show up again, I'm not too far into the manga and I can imagine scenarios where they might come back. I just don't know if they'll happen. I thought they did a good job. They played the characters really well. And them and Brooke all just have the fun part of like, well, you don't have lip flaps, but you can see the character's jaw moving, which is even more vague and infuriating than trying to match actual lip flaps, where at least you have a rhythm to go to. Here it's just like, well, you need to be talking here and not talking here. Best of luck to you, buddy. Go. I bet you're really glad about your life decisions that led to this moment right now, aren't you? Yeah, I enjoyed these performances. I thought they were good. Hopefully Sabito and Makomo can come back at some point and be ghost children another time. Who knows? You can see their rad scars on their faces, which, while sad, are very cool looking. Next up, more friendly people. Because after this, we have to talk about some very unfriendly people. Let's talk about some friends first. While Tanjirō and Nezuko are hanging around a big city trying to find some demons, they run into some nicer demons. They run into Tomio and Yoroshiro. Tomio is a doctor, and her shtick is she generally tries to help demons. To the point where she informs Tanjirō that she is working on a way to maybe turn demons back into humans. She just needs blood from these really high-powered demons that she can experiment on. And if he could be such a dear and go get some of those for her, that would be really swell. Tanjiro agrees because, I mean, look at him. Of course he's going to. And she is followed around by her assistant, Yushiro, who's a little asshole.
But he's my asshole!
He is both a delight and also just what a jerk.
What a little ass. What a little shit. I want 5.
I just partially because I keep remembering it, because for a while it was the like clip they always played when they came back to Demon Slayer on Toonami from the commercial break, but there's always the bit where he comments that Nezuko is not much to look at, and Tanjiro just gets so mad. It's like, how dare you call...
Tanjiro Mick loses it.
How dare you call my sister ugly? She was the most beautiful girl in our village. How dare you?
He at one
just so offended.
He at one point just posted Will Smith out in front of her, like.
Yep. Just, Nezuko, the beauty of the village. How dare you?
Nezuko's just like, what the fuck's happening?
Nezuko doesn't understand why anyone is yelling. She'd rather they stop.
Nezuko's just like, she's just like, okay.
Okay. Why is Tanjiro so angry? What is going on? I zoned out a while ago. Playing these characters. As Tomio, we have Laura Post, who you might know for such roles as Isabella from The Promised Neverland. And Yoshiro, we have one of our writers, Kyle McCarley, who you might know for playing Rio in Devilman Crybaby. Another little asshole of very different proportions.
Who did nothing wrong. That's a lie. He did a lot wrong.
No, he did nothing wrong, and wrong just got a big asterisk next to it. Who would like to start us off?
I guess keep things consistent and I'll go.
Go ahead.
So Laura Post is Tomio. So out of all the casting decisions in the show, this one is definitely on the safer end. It was a little predictable, but but Laura Post is definitely very good at this kind of role, so I'm sorry to can't play too much. She definitely does a good job of giving Tomio this kind of motherly tone that makes her seem kind of warm, despite how mysterious she seems initially, and while Tanjiro isn't totally sure what her deal is at first, he warms up to her quickly enough, and I think Laura's general tone of voice definitely helps with that. But at the same time, there is a little bit of a business-like persona where she's very much I need you to do X for me. This is how things have to be done, and Laura is also very good at that kind of thing. Again, it's not like up there with her more notable kind of mom-esque roles, but I thought that Laura did a pretty good job here, and I'm definitely curious to learn more about this character because it is definitely very clear that she's going to show up more later. Kyle McCarley as Yushiro, as everyone else was saying, he's definitely kind of a little turd, but he's definitely a very fun little turd. He definitely has a lot of attitude, and Kyle gets that across really well. He's kind of a jerk to Tanjiro at pretty much all times. and I definitely appreciate how much he shifts between just constantly berating Tanjiro every 10 seconds and then immediately trying to soften up as soon as Tomio's glancing his way. Because he doesn't want to look bad in front of her.
Shit, I gotta impress the boss.
Yeah, and it's also just definitely very funny hearing Kyle go on and on about how pretty Tomio is. I thought that whole thing was pretty funny. And again, as everyone was saying, I definitely get a pretty good kick out of Tanjiro's Will Smith moment, where he's just trying to convince Yujiro how pretty Nezuko is, and Yujiro just won't see it for some reason. But I also appreciate it, at the very end, it's he and Tommy are leaving. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, but your sister looks alright. And then he just kind of leaves. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for these two, but I definitely did enjoy them. I just kind of hope they show up a little more later.
I can imagine they will. I'd be very surprised if this is the last we see of them. Jamal.
I guess to start with Laura Post, I can't really say for certain if it was a safe choice or anything, because I don't listen to a lot of California dubs, and my only frame of reference for Laura Post is Wagyu Kiryuin from Kill la Kill.
She's literally... Laura Post plays literally, every anime mom character, Ragyo, she's Isabella in Neverland.
I saw maybe a couple episodes of Promised Neverland, but even then, I don't really have that voice set in my head, but for what it's worth, she does manage to play his character very mature, because as she points out to Tanjiro that she that she turned Yushiro after about 200 years of research or so, to which Tanjirō inappropriately asks her age. Yeah, you never...
I mean, in that moment, I would have asked her age, and I'm another woman.
I mean, I would have done the same thing too, but even then. But yeah, I think it's kind of funny how she's not a bad mom, but Lotus does very good with what she's given for what we've seen her for, like, what, 2 episodes or so? 2-3 episodes?
Maybe 3, I think.
Yeah. Although, you gotta admit, if anybody's ever watched it the first time, did anybody else get a little creeped out by how she uses her blood demon art?
No, I thought it was cool as shit.
I thought so too, but the fact that you kind of have to scratch your skin open is like, ugh. But yeah, and Kamakali as Yushiro. I'm not gonna lie, I kept forgetting Yushiro's name half the time, but Kyle manages to play Yushiro as this clingy kind of individual, and not just onto their life, but Kyle, yeah, he has to handle his task of berating people and look down on Lady Tomioka and having to, like, keep her safe and so on, to the point he gets his head knocked off, which that also kind of disgusted me a little bit. It's even more surprising when it grew back too, but
I love that scene though.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kyle manages to play a good job playing this little shit, you know. Whether he's your favorite shit or not, that's up to you. Everybody did good, and I really hope we do see more of them. Megan?
Oh, I'm here. Oh boy. I love Tamayo and Yushiro. So Yushiro's my other favorite character. Which should surprise nobody. That I love angry little gremlins. And boy howdy is Kyle McCarley in his house playing little shitheads. From the voice of Shinji Mato himself. Now we have Taisho's Shinji Mato, except for he's not a creepy rapist. Oh, he's such a little fucker, and I love how he speaks so formally while he's throwing out all of these barbs. Like, he calls her repulsive, he's always like, yes, Miss Tamayo, and he's like, got this stick lodged so far up his ass that he might as well be a Muppet. He's so good. Kyle is such a delight as him. I love when he throws the little thing onto Tanjiro's face, like, come on, you can't see this shit. God, you're worthless. And you're just like, okay. Also, props for Kyle for having to act and yell where, like, he's only got half the face. Because his little, like, the little fleshy things in his neck have to literally rebuild him his own head. And I'm like, yeah! Yeah! That's the good shit!
I swear, you and Roots as a couple make more and more sense every day.
Fuck. I mean, I'm not like I'm gonna pop open a copy of Parasite or The Thing or anything. Like, that's my limit, but, like, you want to show me a spider demon twisting someone's neck? Hell yeah. You want to show me a guy's head just scientifically putting itself back together? Alright! You want to watch a demon lady, like, make another thing go on an acid trip by scratching her own arm? Fuck yeah! Speaking of demon acid trips, Laura Post, I agree with Jet. This was the absolute safest choice. This is the person who I expected this to be. I really liked it because she had that very mature, like, lady of the house type of voice, but without being, like, villainous. It's very clear that she's very much a soothing presence for both Yushiro and Tanjirō and Nezuko. Because remember, Nezuko immediately opens up to her, and I guess she's the other person besides Shinobu who fills your doctor fetish in this show. Because she's a doctor. I love when she's just like, she has that mom voice where She's like, Yushiro, stop hitting people. And he's like, yes, ma'am. I think my favorite Yushiro line is, ma'am, I didn't hit him, I just threw him. After he just sends Tanjiro to Suplex City. And she's so good, and I like how, despite their appearance, because they both look relatively young, that they sound so much older because they have lived so many years, because God knows when the fuck that, Miss Tamayo might be like 400 or 500 years old at this point, and she sounds like an older woman without sounding like an old lady, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I love them a lot.
Yeah. Kyle is great. Yushiro is just such a little jerk all the time. He is so mean. Frequently over nothing at all, other than he just seems to be in a perpetual bad mood about everything that is not his hot boss. And Kyle just plays that so well. He is so just the right level of obnoxious. He's never like annoying for you, the viewer, but it's like, yeah, you're a real asshole. Why are you being so mean to Nezuko? She's just existing. That was uncalled for.
Nezuko's just trying her best, man.
Mm-hmm.
She's just trying her best, man. Life's hard. She has to sleep all the time. And she lives in a box. It's hard, man. He's delightful. He's so just ill-tempered, except when he's talking to Tamayo, and then he's all just, sunshine and politeness. And I'm sure if I knew Japanese better, I'd be able to inform that he's using just like the most polite language in the world. Which I think they do a good job of reflecting that in English as well, is just making him seem very polite and, Sorry, my cat's meowing at me and I got distracted.
It's okay, Cricket. We love you.
We do love you, Cricket. He's just so, like, ill-tempered, and hilarious doing it. I liked him a lot. And, I liked Laura's performance as well. She just did a job. I thought she just did well as being this very, like, sort of, older, sort of, kind authority figure who's, she's a demon, but she's trying to do good in the world and be fair to people and be kind. And that's clearly part of the reason why, Yushiro was, ended up signing up with her anyways, as far as, like, he clearly really appreciated what she did for him. I thought Laura just captured that really well. These are, like, really strong performances. I have not read, they have not reappeared in the manga as far as what I have read, but I'll be shocked if they never appear again, and I look forward to seeing them for a second time. They're good stuff. And now that we've gotten some nice people out of the way, let's talk about some bad people. We're gonna talk about some real bad people. So there's this guy. His name's Muzan Kibutsuji. He's kind of the big demon, period. He's the demon. He's the guy without which none of this would have been required. He's bad news. He's basically the guy Tanjiro is looking for. And you're expecting some big, mean, ugly demon. It's like, no, he looks normal. He apparently has a family with some humans who don't know what he is. It's very insidious. You can tell he's bad because everyone else still dresses like it's the feudal age, and he's the only major character who wears a suit all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the joke's been done. I mean, the joke has been done enough already at this point. But I mean, come on, he really does look like Michael Jackson for some reason.
Yeah. Wait, you all do this? That's good. Fuck.
It's the hat and the color of the suit. It is more or less what he wears in the Smooth Criminal video. So you're not wrong.
You've been turned by a smooth criminal.
You've been struck by Musan Kibutsuji.
Now I'm just imagining, like, whenever, like, he's looking for Tanjiro, I always feel like somebody's watching me.
'Cause he's bad, come on.
Shamu!
I want to love you, PYT, but young thing. I guess
to be fair, with all the demons running around, it might as well be the Thriller music video.
I guess I didn't have to beg for your forgiveness, huh, Amon?
No, not today. Oh.
I thought I was...
Anyway. He's the big bad guy. And at one point he runs into Tanjirō, and he decides to send some demons after him and Tomio and Kushiro, and their names are Yaiba and Susumaru. Yaiba has this special ability. We can make these little arrows fly that you can't see, but he can see them. And he can make them fly around and like drag you around and flatten you against the ground and so on. Which is difficult unless you've been given the whammy that Tanjiro eventually gets, let you see the arrows, because otherwise you're just gonna die. And Susumaru uses these like jangly balls that she throws at people. Incidentally, do you like ladies with big arms? Well, great, she has 6 of them, so you know. Go watch those episodes if that's your thing. You'll be very happy about it.
Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know I was in this anime.
Who?
No, from Dorohedoro.
Oh, Noir.
Only,
Okay.
Yeah, only one more week, people.
Yep.
Gyoza and friendship.
Happy birthday to me.
I was gonna say, Andrew, we found your demon. God, I remember when so many insecure male weebs on the internet saw her, and they were like, oh, she's so cute, and then she got the 6 stars, and they were like, ugh! And I'm just like, drink it in. It's like, alright, guys who aren't cowards and us lesbians and bis, let's feast. Dorohedoro is gonna feed us so well.
Oh, you bet. Playing these characters, Muzan is played by Greg Chun, who you know for a lot of things. I know him from playing the lead character in Judgment, where he's great. Yaiba is played by Xander Mobus, who you know for playing Joker in Persona 5. And Sasumaru is played by Sarah Ann Williams, who you know for playing Nonan in Kill la Kill.
Turn down for what?
Jet, would you like to start us off again?
Sure. So I will start with Xander Mobius because I kind of have the least to say for him out of these 3. Xander Mobius has done his fair share of villain roles to this point, and I definitely very much enjoy him in them. I really like that he gives Yaiba here this very kind of deep, not like necessarily seductive voice, but it's kind of like very. But just kind of very smooth in a way that's just kind of like pleasant to listen to, but it's also kind of sinister. And I definitely think his fight with Tanjirō was a lot of fun. He gets he has some pretty good back and forth with Tanjiro's actor. And that whole fight is pretty fun. I wish I had like maybe a little more to say, but this character is just kind of there. I don't think he gets a death flashback that I can recall. I'm pretty sure he doesn't.
I don't think either of them do.
No, neither of them do.
Mm-mm.
As Sarah Ann Williams as Susumaru, it gets kind of tiring saying this, but there definitely is kind of a very much a thing where I feel like Sarah Ann Williams is just one of those actors where it's like if you see her attached role, it's like, yep, this is definitely very much a thing I see Sarah Ann Williams doing. She just has that kind of voice to her, but it's definitely not a bad thing because she has a very specific brand and she does very well. She's always very good at playing very loud and kind of unhinged characters. And that's definitely Susumaru to a T, and she's clearly having a lot of fun here. And her fight with Nezuko is pretty good. I definitely got a pretty good kick out of when she was surprised by Nezuko doing mega kick on her and like breaking one of her legs. That was pretty funny. That was another pretty decent fight. Again, I kind of wish he had like. I wish I had a little more to say here, but it's been a little while since I watched that part of the show. But her and Xander were definitely pretty fun pair of performances. Greg, on the other hand, I definitely have more to say here. Because putting Greg here is definitely pretty interesting. Because Greg Chun is a voice I don't know if we've gotten used to. Haven't really heard him in a lot of villain roles. Which is kind of weird for how naturally smooth his voice is, but he definitely did a pretty solid job here. And when Muzan's first introduced, he seems a little more unassuming than all the hype around him would suggest, since as Amon said, he's kind of with his family at the time, so initially, Gray kind of plays Muzan and being very subdued. And while there's still that kind of smoothness, you generally kind of come to associate from him. He initially sounds like a little polite. But as soon as he drops the mask, his tone is like all business, and there's just this growl to his voice that makes him sound pretty scary. And similar to Rui, Muzan is just a kind of villain who's definitely very much used to having his way. And he's willing to pull out any and all forms of intimidation to kind of keep all of his minions in line. And pretty much each and every minion we see is just downright terrified of him. And this is probably best seen during the final episode where Muzan is just kind of cleaning house with the lower members of the 12 Kizuki. And the way that Gurenge's voice just kind of snaps and even the slightest hint of disrespect is pretty unnerving. And definitely have to make that scene as uncomfortable as it was clearly meant to be. Like, you definitely feel really sorry for these guys, and they're just, like, trying so desperately to please the boss. And he's just like, are you kissing up to me? Die. If there's one negative I'd have to give here, it's less with Greg, it's just more that we don't see a whole lot of Muzan in general for the first season. So we don't quite know what his deal is beyond just being very intimidating. But hopefully that'll change in any future seasons. And for what we have right now, I definitely enjoyed hearing Greg. I just wish there was a little more to talk about. I'm done.
Yeah. Jamal?
Start with Yaiba. Other than Persona 5 and Super Smash Brothers, I'm not really too familiar with Sanomobis. Matter of fact, when I heard him on my first and second watch, I actually thought he was another voice actor. I'll tell you who after recording. But I thought he did pretty interesting, pretty good with what he was given, even though the character is kind of like, he can always see through his hands. It's kind of like this, this show has a lot of creepy things going for it. But when it's done right, it's just very good. Yaiba is pretty much, I don't know, I guess, Yaiba and Susumu are pretty much partners when it comes to hunting down demons. They just wanted to please the boss. I mean, to the point you really thought the first fight was going to be all out. And I don't know, I guess Tanjirō managed to find the weaknesses and worked around it. But Sandra does a pretty good job of voice giving. I can pick out Sarah Ann Williams in the crowd thanks to Kill la Kill. And anytime you hear Sarah, is pretty much a delight. I mean, so far I've heard her as a witch, as a bad leader, and as we'll find out later on in the year, and an android. But Sarah manages to play this character very interesting because, for one thing, yeah, Susumu can be a little temperamental, you know, she just, I guess as you find out towards the end of her run, she just wanted to play a little bit, but she was caught in this circumstance where she became a demon. A demon that pretty much manages to turn into somehow a demonic version of Vajra, if you look at it, because all the mobs, I actually like the design on that, by the way, because that was pretty good. It's like, the design looked like Susumu kind of works out, but I really appreciate where Sarah took this character. I mean, Sarah went balls to the wall to get ahead of the game, you know?
Boo! I'm booing you for the balls to the walls thing.
But you got the head part, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's sad we don't get to see much more. Especially when she gets tricked by Tomioka to invoke...
Oh god, that scene is so unnerving.
Oh yeah, that unnerves you. But, ooh, not as much as what the Michael Jackson over there did to that couple after the bachelor party. Oh my god, man.
Woof.
Well, first off, let's start by saying that you're introduced to him in episode 7 because, you know, showing an anime, you got introduced. Maybe your main villain pretty early, who knows. But Kibutsuji's unnerving his own way. I mean, not only does he look like Michael Jackson, but the fact of the matter is that you would think Tanjirō would take the opportunity, but when you find out he has a family for some reason, I don't know if that's ever going to be explained. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just kind of weird because you also find out from a flashback of his that you see somebody else wearing Hanafuda earrings, and you probably take a guess who if you've seen the show. But Greg kind of plays his character unnerving and very entertaining. Like, I have this is probably the first time I've ever heard Greg Chun in any role, really. Kind of has a baritone, like, I don't know, Babish from Binging with Babish, to the point that, like, when he has to be demanding, it can really scare you, because I know there was that scene where he just pumps blood, constant amount of blood to this one lady, and she just melts into primordial ooze, I guess. But there was also the scene in the last episode where there this what the fuck they call that? It's a puzzle or something like that. You know what I mean? Where this tea house kind of thing, and there's this lady playing the shaman, saying you see this woman dressed talking to them.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah. It was kind of interesting how Greg had to play, like, I guess 2 different sides to Kibutsuji, because, you know, one for cover and one to assert his dominance, but Greg worked it really well, and I really wish I could watch a lot more Greg Chun roles. I mean, I own Megalobox, I forgot.
Yeah, I'm like, he's Aragaki.
Yeah, I know when you said a lot more Greg Chun roles, but I had PTSD of Hero Mask. Like, don't ever watch that.
I've seen enough masks one for one day, thank you very much.
Smoke it.
Well, yeah, I'm good to go, so...
I'll talk about Xander first as, Yaiba. I actually didn't know that was Xander. I was like, this guy sounds really cool, I wonder who it is, and then just never looked at the credits. Because I'm just too distracted by Sarah Ann Williams being there, because I love Sarah Ann Williams. No, he was really great as this kind of, like, one-off villain, and, sending Tanjirō on the, magical arrow ride. My personal favorite is when Tanjirō gets the one that's gonna break his arm and he just spins himself the other way. I'm like, that's Superman turning the Earth back in time levels of bullshit. That's not how that works. Fuck you, show. But I thought he was pretty delightful. Sarah Williams. I love Sarah Williams. I love her. I love batshit crazy Sarah. And that is what she brought to, Susumaru. She is aggressive, she is rumbly, she is feral, I am here for it. But that moment of absolute break, chaos, and crying like a child when she gets killed. Because she fucked up, and you can hear how her voice switches from feral to fuck.
Yep.
Just her being like, please no, I didn't mean to do it. And it's so good, and I love that a lot of the demons get to have that moment, and a lot of their actors absolutely excel at it. And then the hands come from her mouth.
Oh, man.
And I was like, oh yeah, that's right, that does happen in this part of the show, and that's what... I genuinely think my favorite parts of Demon Slayer are the first 10 episodes of the show, and that is like the chef's kiss moment right there, where... she gets her kind of head, it comes out, like, what was it? Do all 3 of them come out of her mouth?
Yeah, no, 2 of them came out of her chest.
Yeah, like, one comes out of her stomach, one comes out of her chest, and one comes out of her mouth, and she's, like, gagging, and you can hear Sarah gagging on her own spit for this. Because she's obviously got to say this stuff. I stuck my own fingers in my mouth to achieve that. Oh, that's disgusting.
Do not try that at home.
Please do not do that at home. My fingers taste disgusting. And this ain't Jujutsu Kaisen. And then when her hand is just left, and you hear Sarah play that really scared little girl who's just like, play with me. And you're just like, oh, I'm sad now. And then let's talk about Greg Chun, California's most underrated actor. I fucking love Greg Chun. I always sing his praises and stuff. He has a fucking range on him. He is so good at playing older characters. And to play, Kibutsuji, who, frankly, let's be real, when I knew this was a union dub, you know who I thought this character was gonna be played by?
Who?
I thought this was some Crispin Freeman level shit. I was expecting Crispin Freeman. I was like, let's get that free hand, boys. And then it wasn't. So I was pleasantly surprised. And that moment where he gets knocked by the guy who calls him, like, he looks like he's frail. And you just hear him go, do I look like I'm on the edge of death to you? Do I look pale? And you just hear him becoming, like, unhinged in rapid suggestion. It reminded me a lot of why I liked Z.C. Douglas as Kira in JoJo's. Who has this... He has to have this level of being a normal person as a facade to people, but clearly there's something unhinged in there. Because remember, when Tanjirō finds him the first time and is gonna go for the kill, he can't because his family's there, but you see him turn somebody into a demon. And you're just like, oh, well, fuck. And then he kills those people. He literally makes somebody into, like, Kellen. He just makes somebody into goo.
Yeah.
He's like, how much, if I put all of my blood into a continuous flow, what do you think that would happen? And he just has this level of, like, vile and venom where it's like, you can see why he's scary, and why also he kind of plays into the whole Rui thing where his bonds with people are not built off of because he genuinely wants them around, but because he controls them with fear and praise. And that scene in the last episode where, I actually thought they were gonna get a female voice actor for it. This is, again, I didn't watch past, like, episode 14 in the sub because of, another actor's performance in the subtitle version. But where, it's got the very deep male voice coming out of the female body is just some chef's kiss level. And I want to give a shout out to, I believe it's Landon McDonald.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who plays the one lower Kizuki that survives.
Yeah, the lower one, yeah.
The only one that survives, and those two just worked off each other fantastically in that moment, so.
Yeah. Where to start? I like Xander as Yaiba. He has a good fight scene. He was just a nice, good, like, wily antagonist. It's also been a while since I've seen this part of the show, so I don't know too much in depth to say. I did like him. I especially liked him up until the end where he's kind of like just cursing Tanjirō. It's like, I'll at least take you out with me. I didn't. Shit. He just burns up in the sun. Just a good strong performance. Sarah Williams is a lot of fun. She's just so, like, punchy and antagonistic. And just, she just does look good, like, villainous henchman out to come kill you thing. Until things stop being fun for her. And she is so... She just sells, like, just the level of terror in Sasamaru, and just how... She knows how badly she is screwed up. And if she has any chance of surviving, she needs to do something about it real quick. But it turns out it's not enough. It's both, like, well done and also just kind of uncomfortable, because that's, I think, the first time you really see that, like, oh, this isn't a fun boss-lackey relationship. I see how this goes now. Okay. Well, and I think at this point you've seen the bit where you've seen Muzin in the alleyway, so you already know that, like, for all his, like, nice clothing and sort of sophisticated way of speaking, he is, like, you will commit horrible acts of violence if you bump into him in an alley. He will murder you on the spot. I think to turn to Greg Chin's performance, I think he plays his character really well. I thought, like, when you first see him and he's hanging out with his family, and he seems so normal, and there's a little something sinister in there, but he mostly just seems like it's some nicely dressed guy, and he seems fancy, and he's there with his family, and he's just gonna turn someone into a demon and leave, and there we go. And then, the next episode, you see him just, like, murder 3 people in an alley and just be kind of just, oh, okay. So that's why you're the bad guy. Oh. Well, this doesn't bode well for anybody. I liked Dreg a lot. Like, I was excited when I found out that he was going to be playing this character, and I think he's just been nailing it. He does a great job just playing all the aspects of this character. I can't wait till we get further on where he's a little, to more stuff with him in it, because he's not one of these main villains who shows up a lot. They kind of dole him out, at least as far as I've seen, and I'm looking forward to hearing him more in future seasons, because he's great. Ooh. Alright. Come on, Jared, it's the home stretch. Stay awake. Stay awake.
We can do it, fam.
Well, we should be able to do it, because now we get to the loud portion of the episode.
Do we just want to group all 4 of these together to get it done?
Why not? Why not? Why not? I mean, they're all the leads. Let's get to our 4 leads. One of them barely talks, so might as well. Let's get to our leads. The Demon Slayers and Demon for whom we are all following. We have Tanjirō Kamado. He's a nice boy. He used to sell charcoal. Now he kills monsters for a living. It's a living. We have his sister Nezuko Kamado. She used to be a nice girl. Then she got turned into a demon, and she can kick people's heads off, as she does repeatedly throughout this entire show.
But my my soft uwu waifu. Why can't I waifu her?
See, this is funny because you know how I was talking. All the people who want to be soft and I know there are people who want her to be soft and uwu. The show does not give a shit. Nope. That's where you're wrong. And they have 2 friends who are hanging around. One of them is Zenitsu Agutsuma. He is a coward. Mm-hmm. He is as yellow as his hair is. He does not want to be here. He is trying so hard to live up to this promise he's made to himself. He is so poorly suited to it. He's so bad at it, the only time he's a good fighter is when he passes out and is unconscious. People have a love or hate relationship with this character, as you might have guessed. And then we get to the other one, Inosuke Hashibira. According to him, he was raised by pigs, and he walks around with a badly taxidermied boar's head on his head. Mostly to hide the fact that he is literally as gorgeous as, a Rumiko Takahashi character. It's a little unsettling, frankly. He is so pretty.
I think the exact wording that Tanjirō uses is that your face has a nice shape. It's very feminine.
Yeah.
Tanjiro's just like, you have a very girlish face. It's quite nice. The sound of Tanjirō just as a matter of fact, let me state this in the most awkward way possible, because this is a shonen fighting anime, and I'm not allowed to have regularly spoken dialogue.
He is very pretty, and he is also just weird and crass, and was clearly not raised by actual people. Yeah, he was definitely raised by wild animals. My favorite part is when he sees the train and he assumes it must be him and Tanjiro come to the conclusion that it must be some sort of spirit god from the area.
Yeah.
And Zenitsu's like, it's a fucking train.
I just love that there's just a separation of, Zenitsu, for all his problems, has at least been to a city in his life. And these two are just such bumpkins that modern technology still wows them.
Zenitsu is the girl in, that movie where, the country horse girl goes to New York City for the first time, and they're confused by the subway, and Zenitsu's like, I don't fucking know these people. I think, doesn't Inosuke also just try to fight the train?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the cops are like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Why do you have swords?
No, my favorite thing is where Zenitsu's like, look, you can't take the swords on the train. So Inosuke's like, oh no. Inosuke's like, oh, I'm smart. He just puts the swords on his back.
Inosuke, I am so smart. I am so smart. SMART.
Just a true galaxy brain decision right there.
Yeah, boy.
Playing these delightful characters. Tanjiro is played by Zach Aguilar. You know for a lot of things, but you might know him for playing Koichi in Diamond is Unbreakable. Nezuko is played by Abby Trott. You might know for playing Ichi Misato in Mob Psycho 100. Zenitsu is played by Alex Lee. You might know for playing Mario in Golden Wind. And Inosuke is played by Bryce Papenbrook. You might know for a lot of things. Many of them are very obvious, but I'm going to highlight the fact that he was a wee itty bitty baby. He plays young Vash the Stampede in 2 scenes in Trigun.
Oh wow, that was forever ago.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think his voice acting career is that, and then there's a long gap until he was actually something resembling an adult. I'm pretty sure he was only there because I'm sure it was just like, hey, we need a kid from the scene. Hey Bob, you got a kid? Can you come in here for 10 minutes and dub something? Oh, what, Bryce? Yeah, sure, he'd love that. He loves cartoons.
God, you know what that reminds me of? And it's a story I would want to tell on the actual, episode that if we ever get the Digimon Adventure dub, off the ground about.
Uh-huh.
Is, so back sometime in, I think it was maybe February, March or something. Whatever the anniversary of, the first day that Digimon ever aired. If you don't know, if you hadn't guessed by the, what I was talking about League of Legends earlier, is I like League of Legends a lot. And I like to watch the professional scene. So, when the Digimon Anniversary Day came out, one of the hosts, whose name is Quickshot, goes, happy something anniversary to Digimon, an old favorite of mine growing up. Ender, who is the guy casting with him, whose name is Chrissy Ferguson, was a fetus during that. So Chrissy comes back on him and goes, I was 2, and my dad's in this dub. And he's like, and my dad was in that show. And it's and Quickshot's like, what the fuck? Turns out his dad was Datamon.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that was the funniest fucking exchange of my life.
Wow.
And I don't know why, just that idea of Bryce, to which I think I've sent my Discord is, there's a really amazing skit that the, European, League of Legends scenes did where, they did their, their teams, racing for the playoffs as a Dungeons and Dragons skit.
Mm-hmm.
And, the guy who's my dad was in Digimon, is in a full lion costume. And he looks over to the other guys and goes, you guys told me we were gonna dress up. Fuck this. It's a really great skit, and I'll have to send it to you guys, but sorry, Abba, that was a weird thing that reminded me of that, so.
No worries. Jet, would you like to start us off?
Sure. I will start with Abby Trot and Zetsuko because if we're being really honest here, there isn't too much to say about the performance. A lot of it is mostly grunts, and while it is a very underappreciated skill because that is definitely a lot harder to do than people would assume it is. There's so she's doesn't have a whole lot of actual lines. About the most we hear her actually speak is in episode 1 where she's so with the rest of her family before they all get slaughtered. And I thought that Abby did a very good job of making Nezuko seem very sweet and unassuming in that scene. And I also kind of like the contrast between her doing that and her in episode 19 where she's helping Tanjirō and shouting out an attack name. I thought that was pretty cool. I wish Nezuko had more actual lines, but for what Abby Trot does have, I think she's handling the character pretty well. I do have a whole bunch of conflicting thoughts about how much agency Nezuko has in the show, but I think ultimately she has just enough that it's not super frustrating. But I do wish she actually did get to talk. It is kind of weird that she doesn't get to talk at all. That's kind of a very annoying decision on the show's part, but it is what it is, I guess. And still, again, for what she had, I thought Abby Trot did a pretty solid job here. So before we even get into the next 2 actors, so again, I feel like this is a thing I kind of say a little too often, but but in this case, I actually am very sincere when I say this. Again, it's one of those things where you really do kind of have to appreciate the amount of work actors really put into their job, and because it can be a really difficult job and it can be very straining. And I say that because, I honestly do not know how, these 2 actors' vocal cords managed to survive the performances. It is honestly really impressive they managed to survive this. Starting off with Bryce Papenbrook as Inosuke, I'll admit that when I was putting together an ideal cast list in my head for this show, I was actually kind of hoping that Bryce wouldn't be Inosuke, and that they'd maybe opt for, maybe Ben Niskin or something. And not because I didn't think Bryce could handle the role, but because I felt like I could see it a little too easily at first. I knew that this was a Yuki Matsuoka performance initially, and Bryce and Bagzoom tends to pair Bryce off in his roles pretty much all the time, so it seemed like a safe choice. And then when Bryce was confirmed to be Inosuke, and the internet proceeded to lose their minds, claiming that, oh, the dub is ruined now. My stance kind of changed a bit because I know Bryce is a pretty talented actor, and I knew right away that people were like severely underestimating how well he could do the job. And then after a couple months, Inosuke finally debuted in the dub, and I don't think anyone was really quite prepared for what we actually ended up getting. For the second Inosuke first appears on screen, there's just this weird feral energy to Bryce's performance that just kind of immediately drew me in. And the recipe gives off just kind of immediately put to bed any fears that he didn't have the quote-unquote right range for Inosuke. And I think I got especially getting a kick out of Bryce's Inosuke during the first couple of episodes he debuted in. Because specifically the very crazy feral laughter he pulled off whenever Inosuke was in the middle of a fight made the character sound almost psychotic. And in addition to being very fun to listen to, it was also very helpful in making it very hard to determine if Inosuke was a friend or a foe, which is definitely Tanjiro's perspective at the time. And that feral energy kind of remained even when Inosuke is going totally off the rails. And Bryce's delivery when Inosuke was like attempting to attack Nezuko was also kind of terrifying. But for as much as Bryce plays up Inosuke's very feral side, you would think the performance would get less fun once we know Inosuke's a good guy, but no. Even when he starts hanging around Tanjirō, there's this almost stupid level of cockiness in Bryce's Inosuke that just kind of makes him pretty funny to listen to. And whether he's just vowing to take down Tanjirō or very badly mangling his name, there's really much never a dull moment with him. And I also appreciate that even when the spider arc goes down and Bryce and Inosuke ends up getting beaten to a bloody pulp, Bryce actually manages to get across how wrecked Inosuke's lungs got, and his voice ends up dropping to what's probably the deepest I've ever heard him go, and it's actually pretty impressive. But I think what I love both about the performance and the character, though, is that for as much of a wild child as Inosuke is, I also know that he's pretty much sincere in basically everything he does, and there's something very weirdly comforting about that. And it ends up making Inosuke one of, if probably not the most endearing member of the main group for me. And I feel like Bryce got that across really well, and I feel like he was definitely having a lot of fun with his character. It's definitely not a casting choice I was super sure about at first, but I honestly think it's one of my favorite performances in the dub. And not only is it one of my favorite performances, I think it is probably my new favorite Bryce role. I didn't think anything was going to beat out Seasons of Pelly for me, even though I know people don't like that one, but like, I do, and I like this more, so it's good. And moving on to Alexis Lee and Zenitsu. In a lot of ways, I can definitely see this being one of the more divisive performances in the dub and being a very divisive character in general. You're definitely going to love him or hate him with very little in between. Thankfully, I lean very much towards the love camp, and I really like Alexis Lee's take on him. At first, Zenitsu can be kind of loud and annoying, and when I say kind of loud and annoying, I mean he literally screams 80% of his lines in any given episode. And that sort of thing can get very grating fast, and I'll admit that while I did eventually warm up to Hiro Shimamoto's performance in Japanese, it definitely took a pretty long time to win me over. In comparison, I think I actually got down with Alexis Lee Zenitsu pretty much right from the get-go. In that, while it is very loud and obnoxious in a way that's similar to Hiro Shimamoto's performance, and there's also something about the way that Alexis handles all of Zenitsu's whining that makes him sound pretty much hilarious. And while it might just be because I have a much easier time understanding what the character was going for with the character, I definitely got a lot more laughs out of his antics than I did watching the show in Japanese. And listening to all the weird, loud noises he has to make just really, again, made me wonder how the heck Alexis's vocal cords actually managed to survive recording the show. I think he actually does have some clips of his recordings up online, and they're pretty fun to listen to, so you definitely should if you get the chance. And I also like that for as much as Zenitsu can be very whiny, he can also kind of be the noble one compared to Tanjirō and Inosuke sometimes. And Alexis' performance can occasionally get across a very good snark. Again, like with Mega and Amon were saying in the very last episode where Tanjirō and Inosuke are both convinced that Train is just some kind of powerful spirit, and Zenitsu's just kind of sitting there wondering what the heck is wrong with them. and that whole bit was pretty funny. But the most endearing thing about the performance and Zenitsu as a character is that for all the screaming and whining he does, he's also a guy who acknowledges that he's in way over his head a lot of the time. And he doesn't really feel like he's kind of earned the right to be where he's at, and I can definitely relate a bit to that. And unless it is Zenitsu, very few quiet moments, he gets them across really well. And he does a really great job of making a lot of Zenitsu's doubts and fears feel very believable. And it's especially true during Zenitsu's fight with the Earth-7 Princess Spider character. And while I didn't quite get what Zenitsu's character was supposed to be up until that point, seeing his backstory and how much he wanted to live up to his master's expectations despite kind of knowing how much of a loser he is, that whole thing kind of endeared me to Zenitsu finally. And it definitely made a lot of his previously annoying antics a lot funnier, what they kind of do, what kind of doubts he was hiding behind them. And while I don't see it's still kind of my best boy for this show because it's an Osuke, Zenitsu is a very close second for me, and as problematic as he may be, he's still a very good boy, and hey, if nothing else, he's not Mineta, so there's always that.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Speaking of bars, they're nailed to the floor.
And last but not least, Zach Aguilar's Tanjirō. So I've been following Zach Aguilar's work ever since he debuted as slated on Noah Zero. Oh, it doesn't always knock things out of the park. He's usually very consistent, if nothing else. And when I saw he was casted here, I knew the role would be in pretty good hands. And sure enough, his performance of Tanjirō basically hits every beat it needs to. He can sound soft-spoken and well-mannered, making Tanjirō come off as, a little more respectful and gentle than your typical shonen protagonist. While he isn't like Deku's level of good boy, he's still a very nice young man, and I'd probably adopt him in Nezuko. Zach's performance can definitely be pretty funny where it needs to be, and again, I got a pretty good chuckle out of that whole bit where he's just arguing with Yushiro over whether or not Nezuko is pretty, or, just basically anytime he tries to sidestep Zenitsu and Inosuke's antics, since he can often feel like he has to be the adult in the room. Especially just like the way he plays Tanjiro's first reaction to meeting Zenitsu, where Zenitsu's just on the road harassing some poor woman into marrying him, and Tanjiro just has this look like, what the heck are you doing? and of course, while Zach can be very dramatic where he needs to be too, like in the very first episode where Tanjiro's kind of pleading with Giyu not to kill Nezuko, or when he's trying to stop Rui from abusing her. And while again, I have my issues with how Nezuko is treated in general, at the very least, I do feel like Zach's performance definitely does a very good job of making their bond feel very believable. I never really had too much trouble buying how much Tanjiro is willing to go through to save her. And I think it's a very well-rounded performance that I don't have too many major nitpicks about, but if I had one, I think it's that while Zach delivers a very good performance, it always feels like it's maybe a couple of steps short away from being a really great one. His delivery is always solid, but over the course of the season, I can't think of any moments that particularly wowed me the same way as, say, Alexis Lee or Bryce Papenbrook did. I always feel like his performance is just strong enough and that it always gets the job done every time. But there are at least a couple of scenes where I want to see him maybe push things a little more the same way, say, Justin Bronner does in his performance as Deku. And while this could just be maybe an issue of vocal direction more than anything, I do feel like there's maybe a little more that could have pulled out of the performance than what we actually got. And while I don't think his Tanjiro is like a notable downgrade from what Natsuki Haide was doing by any means, I still think that between the two, I maybe prefer the latter a little more. But still, I thought that Zach's performance was very solid, and since we're bound to get more of the show going forward, I'm sure he'll have plenty more opportunities to really pick up the performance. And if the rest of the manga material is good, hopefully he will get the chance. And I guess that's it.
Alright. Jamal?
I guess I'll start with Abby tries Nezuko. It's just, as Chet pointed out, there's not really much to Nezuko's voice. Like, you hear it in episode 1, and again, in the flashback in episode 2, I think, in episode 14, I want to say it was. No, it was 17. where she starts to summon. No, it's 19 when she starts to summon her blood demon art. It's kind of. I mean, I know that's part of Nezuko's appeal is that she has to be muzzled to, I guess, to restrain her from becoming demonic fully. Because she still has some belief, some hope in Tanjirō, but you don't really hear her talk as much. And for what you do hear, because Abby has to kind of emote it with Nezuko's grunts when she's muzzled, and I really like the voice she uses for Nezuko, even if we don't get to hear a lot of it. But when she emotes in demon form, it is very interesting because, you kind of feel for her, not just because of the character design. You really kind of feel for Nezuko. You really hope that Tanjirō succeeds in his mission. And it's kind of interesting, though, because with Abby Trot, she also plays 2 other characters in the show. One being the hand demon's little brother, and ironically enough, Zenitsu Sparrow, if you will.
Shutaro is the best boy.
Shutaro sounds like Togepi from Pokemon, though.
Bless Shutaro's heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I appreciate that Shutaro is just very much willing to tell Zenitsu, like, yes, you actually suck, get it together.
Yeah, it kind of sucks that you had to put up with Zenitsu, to which I would admit when I started to rewatch, Zenitsu was my least favorite character because of his actings. Like, they're kind of personally grating on me because you see him come off as a crybaby playboy. Like, he's not ready to die yet, but he's backed in the corner. But he wants to put his best foot forward, but he's awfully clingy. Like, at one point, you kind of see him cling on to a little boy he's trying to protect, and the boy calls him out on that. That was during the Suzumi mansion. To the point where he gets so terrified he just starts blacking out, and he wakes up and thinks that the boy he's protecting helped defeat the demon, where it really was him the whole time, to which they really kind of need to explain that aspect a little more, because I don't understand exactly what was going on, because there was 2 sides to Zenitsu. But in the very case, I'm slowly starting to come around in Maga's character a bit, and that was because of 2 moments. One, when he's defending Tanjiro's box that has Nezuko from Inosuke, and the other is where he takes out the spider demon, because those were like some moments of badassery. To the point, I was surprised how much clarity he started having towards the end of the season. And Alex Lee did an amazing job just playing this character, because I know for one thing, a lot of people said that he's really annoying in the sub. It is Hiro Shimono, who, believe it or not, plays Toucan in Africa Salaryman, and we all know how much I want to put that fucking character in the sun.
Fun fact, he also sings the opening to Africa Salaryman.
I know. I know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I believe Lion sings the ending, but that's for another day. But, Alex Lee did very well to match the energy. Well, but not match the realism too much, because there was a video I sent Jet the other day where he reenacted episode 27. Like, he showed behind the scenes of episode 26. I think 25, 26, where pretty much Zenitsu just loses it and drags both Inosuke and Tanjirō out to the front, and he kind of yells at a pitch so high to the point it kind of reminded me of Amon. You've listened to System of a Down, right?
Yeah.
You know the screaming sections in BYOB? Yeah, it was to that point. So I'm surprised how his vocals were not shredded, especially when I found out the man was in an accident at one point. I mean, that is some really strong vocals coming from him, and I'm very impressed with what he can do, and I can't wait to see more of what he does. Speaking of impressive, Bryce is Inosuke. Well, for what, I expect to see a pork belly with a 6-pack in this show, but hey, here we are.
Now I wouldn't want pork belly. Fuck.
I mean...
The actual food, not the character.
I mean, Inosuke can be a bit pig-headed at times. I mean, the man is like the toughness of 30 to 50 feral hogs. And Jesus Christ, I've never seen a man so goddamn flexible. But
he's like Marilyn Manson. He can suck his own dick.
You should try and bring home the bacon, though. But with what Bryce had to deal with, because I think, Jay, you had mentioned this too, that you think that his roles as Eren in Attack on Titan kind of prepared him for this. And I think you might be right, but this is also kind of a different yelling too, because like with what the fuck was his name? Like with Rengoku, he's kind of gung ho about everything. Like you even hear about how he gets into final selection, to which that was the two lines I was talking about earlier in the show. One being, anything you can do, I can do too. I thought you were going to say, anything you can do, I can do better, which would really kind of cement that gung-ho aspect of Inosuke. Also, the other line, because I thought this was a typo. During final selection, they said they congratulated the 5 people who survived the exam, and I had to count. I thought that was an error. I didn't see 5 people. I saw 4 people. It turns out you find out Inosuke was the only person that ran up the mountain, then he ran down the mountain, somehow surviving the final exam.
For fun. For fun. Because being a child soldier is everyone's ideal summer vacation.
Oh, if I hadn't put on closed caption, I never would have caught that. But it was kind of impressive. I mean, yeah, but Bryce really had to go there with his vocal cords. I think to the point, I would be surprised if come W's time that no one gives him the golden ham, He's
definitely very much a golden ham contender for me right now.
So is Alex in my mind, but
I mean, he's probably gonna need it after Tanjirō tenderizing his ribs so hard the meat fell off the bone.
Fuck.
It's a good thing he had some spare ribs. Wait, one more. What do you think his favorite brand of meat is?
What is it, Jamal?
Boar's head. Sorry, I just had to. That's all my jokes. That's all I've got. But in all seriousness, Bryce was very impressive. This is Bryce I've never heard before. And now we get to pretty much the main character of this show. Zack is Tanjirō. Zack is Tanjirō. I'll be honest, when this dub was announced, I thought to myself, well, maybe it's probably going to be Alejandro Saab, because I could kind of see Alejandro Saab in this role. But when I heard it was Zack, I wasn't too sure what to think. I wasn't keen on his voice in the beginning because, he was a little younger than before the time skip. But his voice, it really clicked with me after the time skip. But yeah, I forgot he was also in JoJo's, and that kind of clicked for me. So, I know some people kind of had some reservations about this, but I think it worked pretty well. At least for the character design. And he also had his moments too, especially with the big episode 19. Where that was kind of touching in its own way. But, Zack had to deal with every aspect of Tanjiro's life, like from his ups and his downs, to just fighting for what he believes in, because, at this point, Tanjiro's kind of anti-hero. He just wants to turn his sister back, and who knows where things will go from there. And I'm interested to see where things go from here. I mean, Zack's not a person I talk about often, but, when you do, it's either impressive or polarizing, but, your mileage may vary, and that's all I really have to say.
I'll take over from here. So, Abby as Nezuko was cute and ferocious when it needed to be. I give a lot of credit to actors who have to play characters who don't, who have vocalizations but don't get to form words. I know back when we did Fate Apocrypha, God knows how many moons ago, that's a big praise I gave to Sarah Williams as Fran. So I want to give that to Abby here. I thought she did really well in episode 19. Also, good job to Abby for doing all of those bird chirping noises.
Yeah.
They were absolutely adorable. I want to talk about Bryce next, because I think that a lot of people unfairly gave Bryce shit for being cast as Inosuke. I want to say this. Just because an actor has a distinct voice does not mean they are a bad actor.
Exactly.
Like, please understand that, because there are a lot of seiyuu who have very distinct voices. Junichi Suwabe is somebody I can point out in every goddamn fucking anime he's in. And I love him to death. You can pretty much find Mamoru Miyano pretty easily. He's got a great voice. Aoi Shota, another actor I really like, has a great voice. I can pick him out in shows. It's funnier when I point him out in live action things because I laugh my ass off.
He's basically God in Gowan Dinosaur.
God bless. But I think Bryce does a really great job in this. I only had one actual issue with him and the performance. There was one point where I think he fell completely flat acting. And that is at the end of episode 16, I believe it is? Where he has this realization about why Tanjirō fights like he does. I just thought that was absolutely flat acting. It was just like, I know Inosuke's hurt, just something about it comes off very much as, oh god, I have to do this really big, like, character, like, moment realization dump in this moment, and it just didn't work for me. But otherwise, I like a lot of, the growly and the grunting and the roughness that he has. I think that he was a good pick for this. I honestly don't really know who else could have really done this. It's a lot like, even if you don't like it, I dare you to name an actor who you think would do better in this role that's out in California. Like, it's a lot like Jessica Calvello as Hajime in Gatchaman Crowds. It doesn't work for everybody, no, but could you find somebody else to match that energy and who has the vocal register for that? And yes, I think it's really funny that, like, both in the sub and the dub, that they're both played by the same guy who plays Kirito. I think that's hysterical.
Yes.
That's why I knew this was happening. Like, I'm like, that's what's gonna happen because of the sub. And I think it works. I think Bryce is a lot of fun in this. I think that Bryce does a really good job. I don't know if it's necessarily my favorite Bryce of the last couple of years. I don't necessarily know if I have a favorite Bryce Papenbrook performance. Like, I like him a lot as an actor, I just don't have a favorite character. Or, a personal favorite performance of his. It would help if I watched a lot more shows that he's in, because he also does a lot of stuff that, I don't necessarily like, except for, there's one show that's airing right now that I'm super interested to hear him in, but I'm not saying what it is. I want to talk about Alex, because Alex Lee is a voice actor that should be on everybody's register right now. He is a phenomenal Zenitsu. I think he is actively better than Hiro Shinomoto. I could not stand Hiro Shinomoto as Zenitsu, and I say this as somebody who is a religious Udapri fan. It's not like I'm not used to hearing Hiro Shinomoto's voice on the regular. I'm used to it more than, most other people are. There are very, very, very few, sub-performances that I think are genuinely ear-grating, and that's one of them. Alex, it can get ear-grating, but, one of the biggest tests I have for a dub is how much I can sit somebody who doesn't watch a lot of anime in the room and have them deal with a character like this. My mom finds Zenitsu to be hilarious. She would pop in and out of me watching this, and I want to tell you this, if I watch, Black Clover, she gets pissed off. She hates hearing Dallas scream as Asta. She could put up with Zenitsu screaming, Alex's Zenitsu screaming, and not bat an eye. But to me, I think that, and one of the other things is, I really want to compliment, Steve Staley on this, is for directing both Bryce and Alex in a way that neither gentleman hurt themselves. That's a big thing, that a lot of voice actors accidentally hurt themselves in the booth, doing this type of stuff, and it's incredibly damaging to their careers. So, a big prop to the team behind the actors to have them act in a way that wouldn't hurt themselves, especially learning that Alex had been in a car accident, probably while he had been recording this.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping you're doing better, dude. But I think to me, Alex really gets Zenitsu the best. Not in that Zenitsu screaming, but when Zenitsu speaks softly about how much he hates himself. And the reason I absolutely defend Zenitsu as a character is that he is self-aware of his negative traits and hates himself for it. And people are like, oh, he's a simp like Mineta. No, Mineta has no... Mineta... I hate the way I use the term simp right there, too. I hate
don't compare it to Mineta.
Yeah. Mineta has zero self-worth about his realization about his negative traits and thinks it's funny. And, he hasn't really felt the repercussions for his bullshit. Zenitsu straight up starts his story with, I was tricked by someone who said they were going to marry me and extorted me for money and ran off with someone else. I had that taken on by another person. But he feels so worthless and awful because he's trying to be better, but he can't do it because of all of his hang-ups. And also be shout out to Alejandro Saab for being the asshole other guy getting trained by his master, and I kind of can't wait to see, because I know that character comes back. Also shout out to Alex and Alejandro doing the "It's the Wicked Witch of the East, bro" meme as the two of them. That is, like, the funniest. I fucking lost my shit going, "Grow up, bro!" Alex doing that shit. But it's when he's talking to his master, and his master is talking about how, you can pound out a blade's impurities if you keep working at it.
Yep.
And just Alex's tone of voice where you can tell that he's reserved himself to loving this person, but how much the pain of being hit around and dragged through and dragged back to this has wearing on him, where he just goes, "But I'm not made of steel." And that absolutely, like, sealed it for, yeah, I like Zenitsu a lot. He is more than just a pile of screaming, kind of, like, horny bullshit. And the only issue I have, particularly with Zenitsu and Inosuke, is I don't like the mansion arc very well. I don't think it balances, like, the inane amount of body horror that we just had with the kind of body horror that's going on, but also the influx of, like, a lot of comedy. I was just like, okay, this arc kind of drags, just cut that out, go straight to spiders. But let's talk about Zack as Tanjirō. He never, at least in this season, Zack has never excelled, and I think that Justin Briner as Deku is a great example of this. He hasn't gotten to that place where I associate him being Tanjirō. I can't go back and watch My Hero in Japanese, because to me, Justin Briner as Deku, Justin Briner has encapsulated that character so much through his performance, but he's also had the advantage of playing Deku for 4 years at this point. But even when Justin was starting out as Deku, I was a lot more on board with it than I was as Zack as Tanjiro, and I don't know if it's because I believe Demon Slayer started airing right after JoJo's Part 4 did. Like,
that sounds right.
Yeah,
I think they were
October, November.
Yeah, they were, like, back-to-back with each other. And I love Zack to death as Koichi. Like, I think Koichi is probably one of my favorite performances of him, and I know that he can do really great things. I will always stand behind that his performance as Nikaido in March Comes in Like a Lion is phenomenal. But it's like Jet said, Zack does a really good, solid job in this, but he never had that standout moment. And even when you get to the so-called greatest episode in anime, which is the Hinokami episode, which, if you weren't watching that as it aired, it kind of gets degraded months after viewing, knowing what happens next, because they just kind of shit on their moment. Where it's like, yay, they get this huge win. No, they fucking didn't, and Gyu has to get the final kill, but you're like, well, fuck. I thought that could have been, like, the moment where, like, this is Tanjiro's voice to me. And it was really good, but it just wasn't, like, the punch that I needed it to be. It's that moment of, this is a really good choice, this is really good casting, but it's that level of, like, sterility to me. It's just a little too sterile. And, again, not a bad performance, not by any means, but it's not like... God, let me see. So we haven't done an episode on this show yet, but there is, to kind of give an example of this for a show where an actor hasn't played a character for a very long time, but they can get that punch moment. Episode 2 of It Invaded for Josh Greeley.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, no, episode 3 of It Invaded for Josh Greeley. Where this character has this moment, and I remember when I finished that episode, I genuinely ran to everybody and was like, you guys need to fucking watch this, like, right the fuck now. Like, this moment is one of the best of the year. It's January. Y'all need to fucking watch this. Like, I should have had that moment, in my opinion, after episode, maybe after episode 4, where Tanjiro kills the hand demon. That moment I do recommend to people, not because of Zack's performance or Natsuki Hayane's performance. I'm a huge Natsuki Hayane fan, but because the show is just, the writing is impeccable from, like, a writing standpoint. But I should have been able to do that from episode 19, and I wasn't able to. But again, I really like Zack as Tanjirō, but it's maybe I'll get that moment where like I feel like, yeah, this is Zack at his best. This is what I was looking for in the movie or an eventual season 2. But season 1, it's really good, great, but not like hell yeah, give me more. Also, stop asking if Tanjirō and Deku would fight each other. The answer is they wouldn't. They'd be good. They'd be good green best friends. Ask if Bakugo and Inosuke would fight each other. That answer is yes.
They would. Bakugo would eventually get sick of it, and then Inosuke would just follow him around demanding more fights.
That's
which he would eventually get because you'd annoy Bakugo so much that he would fight him again, even though he didn't want to. But did you have anything else to say?
No, I'm good. You're good, man.
All right. Let's start off. I do like Nami as Nezuko. Nezuko does not say a lot, as kind of dictated by the story. But I do like the bits where she does talk early on, and I do think she does a good job of being able to voice this character who doesn't say anything. She mostly is just kind of like grunts and sounds. But I do think she does a good job of playing that. Which I agree with what Megan said. That's tricky to do sometimes, and I think she did do a very commendable job doing that. Inosuke. Sometimes I feel like part of Bryce Brackenbook's entire career is that he got big playing Kirito, and he's just on a mission to play as many not Kirito as he can. It's like, I got famous playing Bland Toast. Who's not Bland?
Technically, last time he played Kirito, he didn't have to play Kirito.
Oh.
Ooh.
But I'm really happy with how he plays Inosuke. I think like there was like a clip going around when it was first announced of him just like at some point during like the drum house arc where he's just running around yelling, and it's like yeah okay, this I could see potential here. I'm looking forward to this, and I think he just does a good job of matching the just weird feralness of his character. Where the fact that he, like, appears to have literally been raised by animals is kind of a joke, but also like, no, that's why he's like that. Like, he was raised by animals. Why would he know what a train is? Why would he wear a shirt? Animals don't wear shirts.
And yet he wears pants.
They do in Beastars. They did in Africa Salary, man. All I know is that his mom, like, I guess you get this, like, flashback scene where he thinks he's dying, where he sees his mom, like, push him off the cliff. And in the back of my mind, I just hear Deliver Us from fucking Prince of Egypt going on.
Oh, boy.
Which, that's a deep-ass fucking cut for some people.
I think one of the moments that just kind of sort of solidified it was just the bit after they get out of the mansion, and I don't remember what sets this off. He just bends over backwards and is like laughing at Tanjirō between his legs, and it's like, you're insane. You're a crazy person. What is wrong with you? What planet are you from? I think Bryce just does that really well. He commits to that part of the character. And I think he's just a lot of fun to listen to. I also want to give a lot of praise to Alex. I think he gets the quiet parts of Zenitsu really well. And I think I have no insight into how Zenitsu came about. A part of me suspects that him and Inosuke were partially written because the author wanted like Tanjiro to kind of like peers to act off of, who actually have lines. And I kind of feel like he was maybe just written as like a weird comedy character first and then given a backstory, but I think Alex just nails that really well. You can see his like self-loathing and those quiet moments. And he plays that really well. He makes you feel for the character. He makes him feel pathetic in kind of like the older sense of like just invoking pity. And he does that really well. But let's be real here. I'm going to praise him because he's really funny when he's screaming all the time. The bit in episode, like, 25 when he, like, hauls Inosuke and Tanjiro out behind the house and is, like, yelling at them because, like, you get to play with girls all the time and you don't even care?
Yeah.
How dare you? And he just absolutely flips his shit so goddamn hard. I think what I'm thinking of, I think the clip that I think Jamal mentioned earlier, I think, if you go to Alex's Twitter page, there's a video he posted recently of him, like, recording that scene in the booth.
Yeah.
And it's kind of fun both seeing how, like, it's been edited together from a few takes and also just seeing, like, you know, him in the booth just, like, having to just commit to these incredibly over-the-top lines.
And yet it got copyrighted.
Yeah, apparently he had to take the original down because he used the actual like animation for the show.
No, he wasn't allowed to use the animation. He recreated some spaghetti
right,
software.
Right, in Pastavision.
It got taken down because apparently copyright picked up his voice and thought he was infringing copyright.
It's like Toei getting
That's
its
rough,
own
man.
fucking Tokusatsu channel taken down.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, it's like there's something about the cast, regardless of language, for Demon Slayer being absolutely cursed on social media sites.
It's true.
Oh,
like,
yes.
Do I have to tell the story about poor Natsuki Hayane versus the Demon Slayer?
Well, it's
account?
optional, but...
I'm gonna tell that after Final Thoughts, because that story is just absolutely hilarious.
I agree. And like I'm in agreement. Like if this road does not make Alex a big name, like it should have at least be like a stepping stone on the way to that. He clearly has a lot of talent and chops. This is the first thing I've seen him in. I'm looking forward to seeing him in more stuff. He's great.
Friday, boy.
You'll be able to hear him in something very important on Friday.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. I complimented him because I could not believe that was him in the Dorohedoro trailer because it sounded so incredibly different.
By the way, that comes out Thursday, Jack.
Oh, my bad.
I know.
Also, apparently he sounds nothing like Zenitsu as his character in JoJo's.
Is Damon gonna start having competition for the?
You mean he hasn't had competition already?
Damon's my standard for like I actually don't believe you can do all these voices yourself.
I mean, there's him, there's Cullen Goff, there's Ben Diskin.
Yes, but I don't watch a lot of California dubs, so I don't know what any of those people sound like for the most part. That's the problem.
Okay. I mean, come on, did you watch any code?
I believe you. I just don't have the evidence personally.
Okay, did you watch any Code Kid Next Door growing up?
No, because I was in high school when that came out.
Ah, dang it.
I'm 31, my dude. I'm sorry.
Okay. I mean, I was just going to say, to put it into perspective, Ben Diskin plays two major characters in that show that talk to each other.
Okay, wait. I just remembered. Thank you, Kelly. I just remembered. Have you seen Hey Arnold, Amon?
I mean, like when it was on TV.
Do you remember Eugene?
Yeah, what he sounds like, not really.
But you remember the way that he looks like.
Yeah.
He's the guy with the nose and the green hat, right?
With the
that's Stinky.
With the ginger hair and the bad luck.
Like orange, like really big orange hair.
And
very whitey.
Anyway, is that also Ben Diskin?
Yep.
Is that where this is?
Yes.
Okay.
As I learned from Kellen Goff, but
I was gonna say, if you really want a good thing for Ben Diskin, he's like Amon, you have a Switch, right?
Yes.
I guess I'm gonna have to gift you a copy of Fire Emblem Three Houses because he plays two characters in that, and one of them is like a tiny little angry fighty man.
Oh boy, where was I? Zach. I was gonna talk about Zach. That's where I was. Zach. It took me a little bit to warm up to Zach. And I wasn't entirely sure why. I kind of attributed a little bit that Tanjirō is a little weird as a shonen protagonist, and that I feel like he, as something to do as an actor, he's not super showy. A lot of shonen protagonists are often very like loud and bombastic in some capacity. Even when they're not, they're often characters like Deku, who, if you excuse the pun, he's like, there's a quirkiness to him. He mumbles to himself. He's got stuff going on. Tanjirō feels a little more straightforward, and I felt like Zach, like, not that Zach didn't have anything to work with, but I think sometimes he just had the problem of like, Tanjiro's a nice boy who's just trying to do a nice thing. And I think especially early on, I think maybe just combination with like, it's the first time he's playing the character, and also just that I think Demon Slayer weirdly kind of takes a while to turn into what I think the show actually is. Like, having like even read ahead, like having read through the manga, I feel like it doesn't turn into like, it doesn't quite hit the tone it has for most of the rest of the series going forward until about the time Zenitsu and Inosuke show up. But as he went on, his performance grew on me. I thought it worked. I think it worked better going forward. I think partially just because like he was getting used to playing the character. I think he had more like other characters to work off of who weren't just like ghost children or his mentor or one-off demons who'll be here for this episode and the next, and then we'll never see them again because they're dead. And he grew on me a lot. I especially I think by about like before, like a third of the way through, I was like consistently enjoying his performance. And I just think he does a good job of just selling Tanjirō as just like, he is that nice. He's just trying to do good by people. He doesn't. There's no subterfuge here. When Inosuke tries to get a rise out of him, he's just gonna be polite to it because he doesn't want to fight Inosuke. Inosuke's not a bad guy. Why does he want to fight him? He'll be sympathetic to Zenitsu because Zenitsu's not a bad guy. He's just in over his head. There's this unforced like niceness which doesn't feel like unearned or fake or anything. I do think Zach presents that to the character well. I feel like there could be. I feel like I'm a little agree with Megan. I can't wait for that moment. That's kind of like the big push where it's like, yes, you are Tanjirō. This is a role made for you. But until then, like I still think he's turning in a very strong performance. Like he's hitting too many marks for it to be bad ever. And like at worst, it's just kind of like, this is fine. For some reason I really just liked his trade-offs with like the 3 girls in the last 3 episodes who were just kind of like his like training cheerleaders. Especially where he's like, well, if I stop breathing when I'm sleeping, hit me with these sticks.
Beat the shit out of me.
They're just intently sitting around his bed waiting for him to stop breathing. They just smash away at him with these big cheery smiles on his faces, and it's like, this is a really silly show. Remember we were having this big dramatic like story about the cycles of abuse a few episodes ago?
Yeah.
Like I think the leads in the show are really strong. I'm looking forward to that movie, and I'm looking forward to whenever season 2 comes out. I'm looking forward to this, especially because now that the manga has ended, I feel like the show is not going to run into too many bumps as far as like having to like pad or stretch things out, because it's like, oh, we know where this is going now. We can just make seasons. Not worry about it.
I would say yes, but it is Aniplex. They might try to milk it for all they can. So,
well, then I'll have to fly to Japan and fight somebody, won't I?
Take my alligator.
Yeah, I will.
I mean, hey, you could go fight Henry Goto. I'm sure Heidi would very much appreciate that.
Hardy's gonna roll up with like a gun and a nail bat.
Fuck the nail bat. Take some brass knuckles.
No, it's a goat, a nail bat, and like Cloud's motorcycle.
There we go. But yeah, I'm enjoying this. And on that note, I think let's turn to our final thoughts. Jed, if you'd like to start us off.
Sure. So this is a series I've been very much enjoying. I'd been aware of it for like a good long while. In fact, I actually read it when Viz like put out the first 3 chapters in Shonen Jump, and then I guess dropped it because apparently didn't do well in polls over here. So I was definitely very surprised when it turned out that it was fairly popular and that it did eventually get an anime. And since I was always kind of curious about it, I was glad when I finally got to check out the show. And while it definitely does take a little while to pick up steam, I did eventually come around to it, and it's definitely a lot of fun. I like a lot of the characters. I think it has a pretty good sense of atmosphere, and obviously it's become a pretty big deal now, so I'm definitely very curious to see where the rest of the story goes. And as for the dub, it's a pretty solid production so far. So again, there are a couple of performances that I'm waiting to like maybe really wow me. But there's definitely nothing here I have like any major complaints about. I think for the most part everything here is very solid. There's definitely a couple of performances that I was really impressed by, and I'm definitely very much looking forward to hearing more of it.
Jamal?
Yeah, so when I first heard about this show, I understood it had been like making waves everywhere for like the last year or so. Like it was a pretty big deal, because I know one of the things was I didn't really think much about it, because the thing about it was body mutilation horror, let alone horror in general, is not my kind of thing. But UFO Table kind of handles those moments in a way that it feels kind of subdued to the point I can actually tolerate it, to the point I actually kind of enjoy it. The way the show presents itself, it kind of gives off this old vibe of like old school martial arts samurai movies, and so to the point I'm debating whether I should actually show my dad a couple episodes of that, because I know that would be something we'd enjoy together. It is very interesting. It's a very awesome concept. yes, it's a shonen anime, but it kind of does it in the way you wouldn't really expect a shonen anime to. Well, for one, it's kind of reaches conclusion proper in the main story. For two, you know, to me, it kind of feels like they took like the good elements of both Shiki and Bleach and just put them together in this and set it in the Taisho era. To the point that like not one aspect of the show is overbearing over the other, and everybody pretty much held their ground, kept it interesting, kept the story going. Where was I going with that? I do look forward to the show some more. I can't wait to see the movie. I do think that the hype is well deserved, and before anybody starts about the animation, I think the way the story is presented, the animation lends itself to the story very well. So if you think it to yourself, it's not the most exciting thing I've ever seen, you gotta understand that it goes hand in hand with the story. That it really kind of tells the story itself, you know? Especially episode 19, because on the second rewatch I almost started crying for some reason. But
yeah, I'll agree. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of the rest of that episode, but like, I kind of got a little teary-eyed watching, a little misty, like the second or third time I watched it. So
yeah, because it's not only the animation, it's the music itself as well. Cause
yeah, the music carries that.
Yeah, I hope I can find some way to get the OST on iTunes. I got the opening and ended already, but yeah, everybody, it's a very well made production. It's a very good anime. It's a very good dub, you know. Just check it out just check it out when maybe a standard edition so comes out, because I know you gonna do this after your final thoughts, but by the time this episode comes out, it'll be off on demand and it'll be up for pre-order very soon. Hell, sorry.
That's okay. I'll go. I can understand why this became the phenomenon that it was. I was hooked on it from like episode 1. I think I remember going to Anime Boston last year when this was just starting up, and Amon knows I would run and tell him like, "Hey, I found Demon Slayer shit."
It's true.
So like, me and him were like, "Yep, all right, let's go." And a lot of people weren't really talking about it super early on into the production of the show, which I find kind of incredibly strange, because I actually think the first 10 episodes were some of the best on the show. I think this is a dub that is very good, very solid, if not a little safey and kind of sterile at points. This isn't anything like I'd be like, this dub sucks, go watch the sub. Because, again, I would rather watch this in the dub because of one performance in the sub that I just don't like. It's a great series. If you're like me, who's like, I would buy the show, but I wouldn't get the limited edition, but I am anyway, because I'm a sucker for Yuki Kajira's music. Please, I love you. I think it's great. I love the soundtrack of the show. It is everything I want in life. I think this is a really good show just to check out, and I just want to say to all the people who are instantly detracting from this show's quality because it's popular, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Please do.
Please shut up. Because something is popular does not mean it's bad. It also is on the flip side, because something is popular doesn't make it good. Make your own judgment. Don't think that you're better than somebody else because you don't watch Demon Slayer because it's quote-unquote for normies. Bitch, you were that person with Bleach. You too were a normie. In fact, anime fandom, get rid of the term normie. At this point, anime is normal in mainstream society. Like, get over it. Stop using normie as an insult because you're insecure in your own like for Asian cartoons.
You sound like an alt-right show. Knock it off.
Like, congratulations. You like Kaguya-sama. 10,000 other people do. You're not alone. Stop it. I think that the show is actually a lot of fun. Like, surprisingly, this is not something I'd show my 5 and 8-year-old nieces. They're not gonna get to watch this one with me. But this is something I would show to somebody who's like, hey, I want something a little bit more adult than normal shonen fare, because there's a lot of TVMA ratings on this fucker for a reason. But I think the dub came out really well. I think it's a really enjoyable show. Like, I'm obviously, like, willing to put down for the limited edition sets for this. As well as I really can't wait to see the movie. All in all, it's a great time, and I think the dub lives up to making this very, very watchable. Now, if only UFO Table would stop doing tax evasion and really weird CGI.
We can only hope.
I'm not gonna lie, I still think Fate Zero looks better than this show, and that's like God knows how old at this point.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
Let's see. To give you an idea of how much I've been looking forward to this, I got interested in Demon Slayer when an article showed up on A&N mentioning that Viz had licensed some manga I'd never heard of called Demon Slayer. And it's called Demon Slayer. It gave, like, the one paragraph description of what it's about, and it had, like, the key art that's, like, the cover to the first volume of the manga, which is, like, Tanjirō and Nezuko, like, Nezuko's, like, snarling at somebody off screen or something. And I thought, hey, this looks like a thing I might enjoy. I should keep an eye on whenever this comes out. And then I started reading it, and I think at about, Volume 2, when they had the fight with the Swamp Demon, and the Swamp Demon just opens his coat and shows little... like, trophy thing of, like, hair clips, and it's like, this is a fucking Hellboy comic. I like this. I'm gonna read this until I die. And then it got an anime, and I was so excited, because this is one of the few times where I feel like I got ahead of the curve on something, and it's just like, the thing I like is gonna get popular. And then, like Megan said, like, it was like, people talked about it a little bit, but until, like, episode 19 hit, wasn't really a big deal. And then when that hit, it was kind of like, oh. That's when it finally blew up a little bit. I was disappointed there was no Anime Boston this year, because I was looking forward to seeing all the Demon Slayer cosplay and being able to sell manga to lots of people. But, like, I enjoyed the show a lot, and I think this is a very good, strong dub for it. I'm happy that it's gotten so successful. I think this dub has helped with that. I think, being able to watch this on Toonami and have a nice, fulfilling viewing experience with it has really helped it. And it's kind of exciting to see something that you, like, enjoyed and cared about, like, get the attention you feel it deserves. Like, I enjoyed this a lot, and I'd highly recommend it to people. And I'm also plunking down for that limited edition, because as loath as I am to encourage Aniplex's stupid pricing policy, they did find a way to make me make an exception.
This is my second exception. My theorizing is, well, the second half comes out after right after my birthday.
Like, this is technically my second exception, but I bought my copies of Durara used for about $50 for the 3 of them, so I don't really count that.
Yeah, I have the Madoka movies, but they aren't nearly as expensive. So
I bought all of Kill la Kill during my first Christmas sale.
Okay, Kill la Kill was like the one nice Aniplex box I will probably cave on eventually, but I haven't yet.
I'm probably eventually gonna cave on a Fate Zero box, even though my boyfriend obviously owns the original releases, and I kind of want to inherit it from him. For anybody asking what my one exception was, it was Katsugeki Token Ranbu, because the dub wasn't streaming anywhere until literally like a week ago, as of the recording of this episode. I think I saw that announcement and immediately shit my pants. I was like, thank God I can finally do an episode on this!
Good times. On that note, if you would like to watch Demon Slayer, part of it's it was airing on Toonami. Is it in reruns? I don't watch Toonami.
No, it's coming off demand slowly. It's really weird. At this point, if you want to watch Demon Slayer, you're either going to have to plunk down money for the dub, or you can watch the sub, I believe, both on Funimation and Crunchyroll.
And Hulu.
Yes.
And Hulu.
I assume the dub will probably go back up on some streaming site at some point, I imagine. Probably not too long after the physical release comes out. So if you do want to watch the dub, like, get on that. Sorry that it will take like 2 to 3 weeks to edit this episode, so that's 2 to 3 episodes you're gonna have to have trouble tracking down. Sorry.
Yeah, as of the time of this recording, I think the first 3 episodes are off now.
Yes,
that sounds right.
Yeah,
and a lot more to come off this week too.
Yeah, but I imagine this is probably a temporary problem, and in the future it'll probably pop back up somewhere. If you want to follow us. You can follow us at dubtalkpodcast at various places. Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, where we sometimes stream games, and We're also on Tumblr, though we don't really use it because who uses Tumblr in this day and age anyways?
We have too many female-presenting nipples on our podcast for Tumblr.
It's true. Tisk tisk. And we also have a Patreon where you can give us money. And you can help us produce this fun little excursion in talking about stuff and what have you. And if you do give us money, you can get your name read out on the podcast, which I'm about to do. Thank you to our $5 patrons, B. Morris, Crimson Echidna, Michael Nuding, Michelle Travis, Miraculous Corazon, and Nico Robin, but with Yowie hands. Thank you, Jackson. And our $10 tier, Carly Lesticow, Jacob Wilson, J2, aka Jared, Julia W., Marissa Lenti, and Spartacus. Spartacus? Oh no, which one? There's so many. So thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, would you tell me where I can find all of you on the internet?
Do you mind if I go last so I can tell the story after I say my name?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. You can find me on Twitter at Vindega or like Get to Your Infinity at Talk, where I will usually be talking about cartoons, animation, or like whatever. And you can also find me on my blog Animation Infinity, where I will sometimes write things. And you can also hear me on another podcast O&A, alongside fellow Talk host Andrew, where we will usually be talking about anime news.
You can find me on Twitter at Jamstar529. I'm on YouTube at Jamstar1. Blogs Collected Dust. I plan to start a solo podcast at some point. Hopefully very soon. I'm not doing anything at the moment. I'm also the assistant editor for the podcast. And I will say, have fun with this one I'm on.
Laughs ruefully. You can find me on Twitter at AmonDuelUS. Duel has two U's in it. I talk about music and comic books and anime. And I have a dusty old song for you if you'd like it.
Yes.
So I usually try and pick a song that has something to do with the show, but I don't listen to a lot of fantasy metal, so I don't know any good songs about explicitly fighting demons that aren't like Black Sabbath songs about the devil, which isn't really the same thing. So I decided to go in something a little more abstract. Tanjirō has a sword fighting style that's based on the flow of water. And there's actually a song I like that's partially about water. I recommend to you a little medley by the British guitar player Robert Fripp of King Crimson. In the very end of the 70s, he put out a solo album that has a set of tracks, Water Music 1, Here Comes the Flood, and Water Music 2. They're very nice because Here Comes the Flood is actually a Peter Gabriel song performed on this album by Peter Gabriel, in part because it was on his first solo album, and he thought the production on it was just really awful and overbearing, so he took this opportunity to record a really pretty, stripped-down version. It's really good, it's kind of sad, I like it a lot. I highly recommend going out and listening to it. It's a good time.
Hi, my name is Megan. You can follow me at Quinera2, and now let's tell you the ultimate story of one man versus corporate synergy. Natsuki Hayane versus the official Demon Slayer Twitter account. Apparently on a radio show for Demon Slayer, him and Hiro Shinomoto were talking. So if you don't follow Natsuki Hayane, which you should, he posts a lot of pictures of his cat.
Just to be clear, who is Natsuki Hayane?
Natsuki Hayane is the seiyuu for Tanjirō. You would also know him as the seiyuu for Kaneki and Tokyo Ghoul. I believe he is the seiyuu for... Oh god, I think he's in something this season. I think is he in Listeners, or... I think he's the main kid in Listeners, or something.
No, I think that's Natsuki Hayane. I think that's someone else.
Oh, he's in something from this season too, and I watched it and I don't remember what the fuck it was. Shit. I'm gonna look this up and put it in at the end of the story. So essentially what happened was, they were telling the story. If you don't follow him on Twitter, he posts a lot of pictures of his very adorable, fun, weird looking cats. But in his Twitter bio, because he posts so many goddamn pictures of his cat, decided to put the words, Nekobot. So he followed the official Demon Slayer Twitter account, and he comes in one day to find out that he's been blocked by it. So he's like, oh, well, I just wanted to promote the show and retweet it every week. So he goes to the corporate office. He goes, hey, guys, y'all blocked my Twitter account. And they're like, oh god, we're so sorry, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, it's no problem, no problem. So it happened again. And it actually happened apparently like 4 or 5 times. And he just gave up. And if you can find the actual video where somebody subtitled it, you can listen to him tell it, and he tells it in a really funny way. But Hiro Shinimoto is fucking dying in the back. He is absolutely Mick-losing this poor guy. There was something in this series. That's what it was. He's the leads in both Appare Ranman and Gleipnir. That's what it was. That's what it was. He's Appare and Suichi. He's Appare and Appare Ranman and Suichi and Gleipnir. That makes a lot of sense. But yeah, no. Really funny story, and that's all I really have for this. Oh, I did want to mention this. If you want to buy the dub of Demon Slayer, but the idea of Aniplex pricing scares you like it should all normal people, they are teaming up with Funimation to make a standard edition release of this. That will be at Funimation's pricing. So, yeah, thank you for that, guys. Now please let Funimation dub Silver Spoon, you fucking cowards. I'm good, go ahead, Amon, end this bitch.
No, on that note, thank you for listening to us ramble on about this, this violent series about killing things and also being really nice. Thank you. I certainly had fun.
Thanks, Amon. This was great.
Yeah, thank you, Amon.
Thank you for being on it. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
And
now let's go follow the spiders.
As we go to the closing thread.
I'm grimacing in pain. I hope you know that.
No, that wasn't.
Spiders.
I'm going to, when it's safe to go outside again, I'm going to drive down to Florida and I'm going to come to your house and I'm going to boo loudly while handing you a plaque that says best pun on it. You can put that on your wall.
As long as you understood it, right?
Oh, I got the joke. It was very good.
Okay.
Good night, audience. It's been fun.
Otaku
Good night.
on. Otaku on.
Rock on Boston, rock on Chicago.
Keep it emotional.